Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wake Up Show. I'm Brother Isaac K. Fingers. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, watch party, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just want to say this too before we get started. All videos, all clips, everything that we're going to show today is for educational purposes only. That's it. It's for educational purposes only. No money's being made off of these video clips that we're going to present today. So I thank y'all for tuning in. Welcome to the Wake Up Show.
Time to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake! What?
Time to wake up. Time to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake! What?
Time to wake up.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up Show, everybody. How you guys doing? I am Brother Isaac K. Fingers. Just want to let everybody know we're going to be playing some videos today. Those videos, like I said, they are... Hi, how you guys doing? They are...
We back in here.
Yeah, we back in here, all right. And the videos that we're going to be playing today, they're for educational purposes only. Nobody's trying to make money off of these lessons that I do. Just have to say that for some people who want to say, you know, hey, he used my video and he didn't get clearance and stuff. And so, you know, even though they do the same thing, you know, so I just wanted to make that clear that all the videos that we're going to show today are all this whole thing is educational purpose. All right. So again, welcome to the Wake Up Show. All praises to the Most High, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In the name of Jesus, who's blessed forevermore. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Wake Up Show. Sitting beside me again, we doing part 2. Brother Cash is Israel.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, family. Once again, we up in here. We about to show that this is undeniably our people, our heritage, our history. Once again, and we're gonna continue to do this. Like I said, all praise to the Most High Elohim, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of course, with Jesus. And let's get to it, man. You know, I'm excited. You know,
and
excited.
One thing I want to stress at the beginning of this video that we really kind of didn't get to say at the first one. What we're doing is showing our heritage. All right.
Indeed, yes.
We're showing our heritage because what a lot of urban apologists like to do is sit up and say, all y'all ever talk about is, your heritage. What about Jesus? We all about Jesus. The original Christians, which was our ancestors, was about Jesus first, before anybody else. So we know about Christ. We know about Jesus or the Messiah in any other name. We know about that. But what we're trying to show the people is who we are as a people. And then when they see themselves in the book, that's the whole key, in my opinion.
Right.
When you see yourself in the book, now some things start making sense. Now you understand I've been tricked into serving another Jesus, like Paul said, and this is why things is happening to me and my people. That's why we sitting out there talking about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, all of that. And it's crazy because this stuff is really common knowledge. Like when we go through this, it's the information is out there, y'all. It's really just out there. It's out there waiting for you to come and pick it up and read it.
Yeah.
That's all it's out there for. And these people, they're gonna try to hide this information from you as long as you let them. That's why you got to go out there, search and seek for the Most High, and He will guide you to this information that we're about to show today.
Mm-hmm. Because as long as other nations know, when I would say the 1%, the people in power,
oh
the
yeah,
people with money,
they definitely know.
They know who we are. And the thing is, they also know as long as we keep these cats from doing wrong in the eyes of God, we gonna rule.
Right.
All right. So when it comes to us, now what we have to do is show the people who we really are, so then we can turn back to the real God of Israel.
Right.
That's the whole thing when it comes to us showing our heritage. Because if I see my family tree and I see what they did wrong, that helps me go like, okay, well then I need to do right. I need to do right according to this book, and not what some other nation told me how I need to be right. I'm not a Gentile. I'm an Israelite.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. Now, usually I open up with the scriptures, but if you were here for part 1, you can see the scripts that I opened up with, which would be, I'll put them on the screen real quick. I just don't feel like going into detail because I want this brother to get all his stuff out. So basically with Isaiah 28, verse 9 through 11, the Lord, when you read it, the Lord is actually teaching us how to teach the nations.
Right.
And because we disobeyed the Lord, he said, I'm going to speak to these people in other languages. All right. Precept on precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. You're going to have people try to tell you, you can't teach the word of God like that. That's them, because the God did not give them the answers. We read the answer. That's how we're supposed to do this.
Exactly. We have the oracles of God. No other nation.
Right.
We have the oracles.
Like I don't want to quote Brother Bowie wrong, but one time he said somebody was like, you think you got a monopoly on God? He was like, no, yeah, we do got a monopoly.
We do.
Like, yeah, but we got a job to do.
Right.
Because it's not just we're chosen. We were chosen to do something.
Right.
And that's teach this word of God. How are we supposed to do it? In Isaiah 20, we must teach from the word of God, from the law and the testimony, which is Genesis to Malachi.
Right.
And then Matthew to Revelation. All right. So if you're teaching from Genesis to Malachi, and if you're teaching from Genesis to Revelation, you're teaching the law and the testimony. And then at the end is the last verse I always put up, is how to become a saint. If you're teaching the law and the testimony and you're keeping the law and the testimony, as you can see right there, it says you must keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Jesus, then you become a saint. So that's what real saints are supposed to do. Teach the rest of the world how to be saints according to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, let's go ahead into this part 2 of the deception of urban apologists concerning Israel.
Now, even though we'll be dealing with them as well, I'm going to address 3 groups.
Oh, okay.
And
I just caught on.
So we're going to address, of course, the urban apologists. We're also going to address the comedics today, because all of this is about. And once again, we're going to have a little fun and show this information is foolproof. You know what I'm saying? Get a little sarcastic sometimes, but. Other than that, we really are doing this out of love, and we want to bring our brothers and sisters back into the fold, because it's just a lot of bad doctrine out there.
Yeah,
a lot of bad information out there. And we don't want y'all just running out there lost. You know what I'm saying? We want to give you the most solid evidence that we possibly can find, right? So like I said the comedics, and I'm talking to my One West brothers and sisters, because we're going to clean some stuff up. And the reason why we have to clean it up is because these people are using y'all information that y'all been given against the whole entire nation.
Right.
And there are things that need to be clarified, because if we just leave this lying out here, we're going to look like we don't know what we're talking about. Like, they'll go and grab this information, and people that don't know about the Hebrew Israelite community, people that think it has a bad reputation as far as the Hebrew Israelite community, if they see them go into this information as bad, it's going to discredit us as a whole. So we're going to have to clean every last bit of this thing, up. So we are going to start this at Isaiah the 43rd chapter. and of course, this is all glory to the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of course. So this very scripture is the very thing that we're going to say. It's either you going to come and bring your witnesses, bring your scholarship, bring everything that you have to the table, or when you hear this, you just consider it the truth. Stop playing around. Stop trying to avoid it. Unless you got some information that's better than this, consider this the truth. And this is what the Most High is going to be going over, right? So we're going to start this at Isaiah the 43rd chapter.
All right.
Isaiah the 43rd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 8. Isaiah the 43rd chapter, and we are going to start at verse 8.
Bring forth the blind people that have eyes, and the deaf that have ears.
So we're talking to the people that are blind but have eyes, and are deaf that have ears, right? But just because you can see doesn't mean you can see this.
I got to stop you for a second.
Go ahead.
I totally forgot about something.
Well, go ahead.
Hey, brother Ade. I'm looking down like, I forgot.
Let's get my brother back on here. Of course, we need him.
Yeah, I just remembered that. Come on, Ade. Let me see. Okay, are you there, bro?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We went through this last time, but now I got it right. So,
hello?
All right. Well, what we'll do, we'll leave it like this. We know he'll pop in and say something. He's got to unmute his mic probably.
He'll pop in at the right time, I guarantee you.
All right. So I'm going to start at verse 8 again. So you can
all right, go ahead.
Hello?
There you go.
There you go.
Good morning, family. Shalom, peace, shalom, family.
I forgot all about you till I looked at the screen like, oh, yeah. He's supposed to be in here, too. My fault, bro.
No, that's all right, man. I already know. I know.
Man, I don't need you
don't worry about it.
Me, man. I don't want you throwing no bricks.
Stone him.
No, it's cool.
All right.
Before I get to this, you got anything to add, bro? I wanted to let you.
No, not really. Both you guys said it. Took the words out of my mouth, man. So I'm gonna be here for support.
All right.
So when I get into the OEO Empire, I know my brother's gonna interject because that's really where he's from. So we can get into that. But go ahead, Ozzy.
Okay, so back to verse 8. We're going to start over. Bring forth the blind people that have eyes and the deaf that have ears.
As I was saying, just because you have eyes don't mean you can see this thing. And just because you have ears doesn't mean you can hear this thing. But hopefully we can get people to wake up, right? Keep going.
Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this?
Right.
And show us former things.
That's what we're going to show. We're going to show the former things, and we're going to line everything up perfectly to where you can see where we went and how we got there and how we got over here, right? That's what we're going to do, right? Keep going.
let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified.
So if that's what we're doing. We're bringing forth our witnesses to proclaim ourselves as the Hebrew Israelites and to show that God is our God and we are his people, right? But anybody on the other side, if you think this is a lie, if you think that this is not the truth, right? Bring your witnesses, right? And make yourself justified. Or go ahead, Brother Alvin.
That they may be justified, or let them hear and say it is true.
So either you gonna bring your witnesses to make yourself justified, or you gonna come and hear what we got going on. You're gonna come hear the word of God, and you're gonna say it is truth. You stop going in limbo in between the middle. Stop trying to twist things up. If you really got something that comes to the table, like my brother always says, if you want me to give up the Bible, bring me something better. That's what I want, right?
And bringing so-called other church fathers books,
right,
does not count.
No,
it doesn't count.
Bring me Israelite history books that are legit. You see what I'm saying? Or somebody else bringing the witnesses, right? So what we're going to do right now is that we're really going to deal with Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Because like I said, last week, we are showing that this is the transatlantic slave trade, since they're saying that it was literally us going in Egypt, them getting big cargo ships to bring millions of people into the land of Egypt. From Israel. Like, I don't understand that logic, but we're going to try, you know what I'm saying? We're going to try to see it, but you know, we're going to get rid of that, right? So we're going to start this at Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Because I just don't understand, y'all. How do they think this is literal Egypt? We got spread all across the world, y'all. And they're saying that this is not talking about the house of bondage. This is talking about regular Egypt. So let's see this. We're gonna
and don't forget they love to go to Josephus,
right?
Which is not in the Bible.
Which is not in the Bible. Now, even though Josephus he was terrible at spiritual gifts and giving them spiritual gifts, but as a temporary historian of that day, you can, you know what I'm saying, you pretty much can use him as a good source. But he never said that they went into Egypt with ships, right? And we brought this up, the brother trying to fumble and trying to look for the book to see if it's in there. And we kept telling him it wasn't in there, right? So stop looking.
Right.
So Josephus did not say that. So you don't have any history showing that the children of Israel went down into Egypt with ships. And then he said again with ships, right? So before that, when did they go into Egypt with ships before he said that, right? Because he said you're going to go into Egypt again with ships. We never went into Egypt with ships before that, right? So Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
You see that? Again with ships. When did he do that before then, right? Keep going.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Right. So he's not saying, and of course, what we're going to say, what we're going to show is they went down into Egypt so much, the Lord was pissed at them for it. Right. So it's like, I don't understand that, right? Keep going.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
And of course, this is talking about the entire nation of Israel, not just the twos and fews, right? So you got to show in history, even show in Egyptian, you should find that somewhere in Egyptian history around 70 AD. And that's more specifically where they say it happened, around 70 AD. You should be able to find me some type of Egyptian papyrus or something that shows that Israel went into Egypt. The whole entire nation of Israel went into Egypt again with ships, right?
As slaves,
bondmen, bondwomen.
No man shall buy you.
And no man shall buy you. So the whole nation of Israel is in captivity in Egypt and nowhere else.
and let's all understand, for those that understand what it means when he says, and no man shall buy you. It's not, I'm going to send you to slavery, to another nation, but ain't nobody gonna buy you,
right?
All right, because I think it's, what's the other book they love to use, the ESV, and that one it says that you will sell yourselves.
Right.
Who's going to sell themselves into slavery from where they're at? If we're already sufficient in what we're doing, and somebody comes and now I'm going to take you over here, and then you're going to sell yourself. No man shall buy you means that ain't no one's going to buy you out of this situation,
out of this captivity. No man shall redeem you out of this captivity.
We in history, we had a lot of people, a lot of brothers that we saw it in Roots.
Right.
Remember Chicken George got the free paper?
Right.
You know, he was a so-called free man, but he really wasn't, because he was in the land of his captivity.
Right.
And he had to keep showing these papers.
Pretty much nobody is going to give you reparations, as we can see.
Right.
Nobody going to give you reparations, right? So let's go to Isaiah the 30th chapter.
Right.
And we're gonna see if this actually makes sense. Which actually makes sense. We're gonna do analysis on here, right? Isaiah the 30th chapter. Isaiah the 30th chapter, and we're gonna start at verse 1.
Please like, share the video, start a watch party if you haven't already, and subscribe to the YouTube channel under the same name as K Fingers. What you need me to read, bruh?
Verse 1.
Isaiah 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin.
And it's a really deep reason why he didn't just want them to go down to Egypt because he didn't like Egypt. They kept going down there worshiping their gods, right?
Right.
Sacrificing cakes to the Queen of Heaven, right? Doing things like that, right? Keep going.
That walk to go down into Egypt.
Wait a minute. That walk down and go into Egypt. Don't you have to get ships to bring these people into Egypt?
Yeah,
I didn't know it was that close for people to even go and walk down into Egypt, right?
Right.
But you want me to believe that a whole bunch of cargo ships came and got the whole nation of Israel to bring them into Egypt, and they just walked down in Egypt just so effortlessly. Right. You know what I'm saying? So effortlessly. Keep going.
That walk down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust the shadow of Egypt.
And this is why I say I'm talking to my Kemetic brothers and sisters too, because we went down into Egypt to trust in the shadow of Egypt and to trust in the strength of Pharaoh. You know how we always go back and like we was kings and queens, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. With the pharaohs and stuff. Y'all trust in the strength of Pharaoh and the shadow of Egypt. And he said it was going to be your confusion. You see these brothers out here, man, they so deep. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? It be seeming like y'all seen that thing with who was that? Damon Wayans. I forgot what that movie. I think it was Dope Being Menace to South Central.
Okay.
And then he was in there like Nick Nack Paddywhack.
Oh,
give a dog.
Hold on. See, my brother, you gotta understand the situation, right? Because see, we in a nation that wants to perform a castration upon us.
Yes, on our nation.
Yes, sir.
and we don't want to get. This is the simplicity of Christ, not the confusion of Egypt, right?
Right.
We're gonna keep going. So now we're gonna go to verse 3. My bad.
Therefore, shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame.
Right.
And the trust in the shadow of Egypt, your confusion.
So, of course, you see how the brothers be. The trust in the shadow of Egypt is your confusion. Y'all just really confused over there, right? So let us continue. Now, we're going to get into some numbers here because what we're going to have to do is y'all seem to think that the nation of Israel, the entire nation of Israel, when they got taken out by the Babylonians, who Nebuchadnezzar came and grabbed, those were the only Israelites that were left in the whole nation of Israel. So when we get to this certain point, what we're going to ask is, where did the rest of Israel go, right? But what did God promise what did God promise Abraham was going to be his seed? He said his seed was going to be like the stars of heaven, right? Let's go see that.
All right.
Genesis 15.
Genesis 15. I see how they got knocked out, so we got to wait for them to come back. But we're going to go ahead and keep this lesson going.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis 15.
Genesis, the 15th chapter. And we are going to start at verse 1.
After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward.
Right. You going?
And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless? And the steward of my house is this Eliezer and Damascus, of Damascus.
So this is a situation where the Lord is about to present the covenant to Abraham, and he has no child, right? So he thought he was going to be able to pass the inheritance to his steward, the steward of his house, which is Eliezer, right? But let's see what the Lord tells him. Keep
and
going.
Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir.
And we're going to show this is not talking about the Midianites and the Ishmaelites. This is talking about the nation of Israel, going specifically towards the nation of Israel, right? Verse 5.
And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now towards heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be.
So your seed, for pretty much paraphrasing, your seed is going to be like stars of heaven. So let's see him specifically say that. And then, like I said, this is dealing with Abraham going down to Isaac and then going down to Jacob, not dealing with Abraham's other children, right? Now let's go to Genesis, the 26th chapter.
Genesis
and the reason why we're pointing out that they're the stars of heaven, it means that there's millions and millions of stars in the sky, brothers and sisters. Millions.
There you go. Go ahead.
Millions and millions of stars, right? So it's not thousands. It's not hundreds. It's millions and millions of stars out here, right?
Billions, probably.
It's billions, right?
We're
gonna stick to since we don't necessarily know the population specifically of the nation of Israel. We do know that he compared it to stars. We know that there's millions and millions of stars, right? So we're gonna keep that in mind, right? Now let's go to Genesis, the 26th chapter, and we're gonna start at verse 1. Genesis, the 26th chapter, and we are gonna start at verse 1.
And there was a famine in the land, besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham and Isaac, and went unto Amalek, king of the Philistines, to Gerar.
So now we went from Abraham. Now we're going on to Isaac, right? So we know this conversation is going down to the seed of the people of the covenant, which we know Ishmael was not the child of the covenant. It was Isaac, right? Keep going.
And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down unto Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and I will bless thee, and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father.
And he's going to say it again when we come up. What did he say? Out of verse 4.
And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven.
So that's what he meant when he told Abraham, can you consider the stars in the sky at least? So shall thy seed be, right? So he said unto Isaac, he said, your seed is going to multiply like the stars of heaven. It's going to multiply millions of offspring, right? Keep going.
Where did I live? 4, right? Oh, the middle of 4, right? And I will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed.
And of course, you want us to deal with Christ. This is dealing with Christ, right?
There it is.
All the nations of the earth will be blessed through Christ, which is the seed of Abraham.
Oh, Isaac, man, we basing our salvation off of heritage,
just off
man.
Of heritage. You're black, and you're the children of Israel because you're black. That's why you're the children of Israel.
And you're gonna be saved just because you're black. Come on, man.
No, we're not on that. Like I said, we're gonna get into a little bit today, but because I remember the brother came on the post and he was talking about us dealing with color. Last week, we didn't even deal with color. We didn't even mention color, brothers and sisters.
Right.
We mentioned pure oral tradition, history, prophecy, and he gonna bring up color and didn't even watch the whole thing, right? Hopefully he watched this one, right? But who knows?
Is that the same one that kept trying to figure out what church we go to?
Right, yeah.
Man. Come on, what that got to do with what we teach?
Right, what that got to do? You know what I'm saying? Right. Verse 5. Let's see why. Let's get into why. This is still a salvation issue, right? Let's see why all the nations was going to be blessed through Abraham, right? Verse 5.
Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
So all the nations of the earth will be blessed through Jesus. After that, keeping the commandments, statutes, and laws of the Most High God.
I want to read that one more time.
Yeah, keep going.
Because everybody keeps saying that, you know, I'm from the seed of Abraham.
Right.
We want the blessings of Abraham.
You know,
look what Abraham did, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
Right. So you have to keep the commandments of God and the faith in Jesus, right? To be blessed and to get into the kingdom of God. Right. Okay. So, excuse me. Let us now go deal with this more so of this Egypt situation. So why I wanted to bring that into play, we're going to deal with the numbers. We know that there got to be millions and millions of Israelites, even at this time of Nebuchadnezzar, because that was the promise to Abraham that his seed was going to multiply as the stars of heaven, right? So let us go to Jeremiah, the 42nd chapter. And we're going to deal with this Egypt, because that's the foundation. When you see all the West African tribes, all the Bantu tribes and things like that, their foundation is that they migrated into the sub-Saharan Africa by way of Egypt, right? So we're gonna have to deal with the Egypt and solidify the Egypt part. Jeremiah, the 42nd chapter, and we are gonna start at verse 18. 42 and 18. Whenever you get there, my brother, go ahead and read.
For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, my anger and my fury have been poured forth upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
Right.
So shall my fury be poured forth upon you when ye shall enter into Egypt.
And what's crazy is, remember what I told y'all? We were going down into Egypt so much that the Most High was pissed at us, right? He was pissed, more so because we went down there worshiping their gods. But that's why he didn't want us to go down there, because we were going to go back into bondage, spiritual bondage, physical bondage, right? Because we're not ruling in our nation and we are not under our God, right? Keep going.
So shall my fury be poured forth upon you when ye shall enter into Egypt. And ye shall be an execration and astonishment and a curse and a reproach, and ye shall see this place no more.
Now I want y'all to pick up on this, because remember when we'll read that the nation of Israel shall utterly be destroyed, but we know that's not literally talking about every individual in the nation. That's talking about the people as a nation, the people as a nation, right? So he's saying, this place, you shall see it no more again, right? And he's talking about as far as what these people at this time, they shall see this no more again, because the people at this time, he's going to kill a lot of them, right? But he's going to leave a remnant, which he's going to say he's going to leave a remnant there in Egypt, and then he's going to have a remnant to go back to Judah, right? Keep going.
The Lord has said concerning you, O ye remnant of Judah, go ye not into Egypt. Know certainly that I have admonished you this day.
And he keeps saying that, go not into Egypt, but we're hard-headed, right? We keep going and doing things that the Lord doesn't want us to do, right? Keep going.
For ye dissembled in your hearts when ye sent me unto the Lord your God, saying, pray for us unto the Lord our God, and according to all that the Lord our God shall say. So declare unto us what we will do to it.
Because every time we get into some type of trouble, right, we pray unto our God, we get instructions, we do it to get out of the situation. But then when we come back and we're in a good situation, we go back into our folly, right? Keep going.
And now I have this day declared to you, but ye have not obeyed the voice of the Lord your God, nor anything which for the which he has sent me unto you.
Right.
Now therefore know certainly that ye shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, in the place whither ye desire to go to sojourn.
So we love going down into Egypt. Once again, this is for the Kemetic brothers and sisters too. This is all in our history. Going down into Egypt, loving the gods of Egypt, right? We can't get away from them even unto this day. And it's another thing where the house of bondage or Egypt, we're going into Egypt again with ships. We carried the mentality with us in all these lands, right? Love in Egypt, right? Love in bondage, right? So let us continue. Now let's go to Jeremiah, the 44th chapter. Jeremiah, the 44th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 11 because we want to establish us going into Egypt because all the oral tradition is based off us coming out of the land of Egypt going into sub-Saharan Africa, right? So Jeremiah 44 and verse 11.
Is that 11 through 14?
Yeah.
I put 11 and 4.
That is 11. If y'all see it on the screen, it's supposed to be 14.
Yeah, I messed that up rushing. All right, so Jeremiah 44, verse 11. All right, therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will set my face against you for evil, and to cut you off all Judah.
Right.
And I will make the remnant of Judah that have set their faces to go into the land of Egypt to sojourn there.
Right.
And they shall all be consumed and fall by the land of Egypt, fall in the land of Egypt. They shall even be consumed by the sword, and by the famine they shall die, from the least even unto the greatest, by the sword and by the famine. And they shall be an here it is again, exorcisation. I can't say the word. I know I'm not a good reader.
Right.
All right. And an astonishment and a curse and a reproach.
Right. Keep going.
For I will punish them that dwell in the land of Egypt, as I have punished Jerusalem by the sword, by the famine, by the pestilence.
Okay, so just like we're getting punished, we're still getting punished by the sword and by the famine and by the pestilence in all these other nations that we're in as well, right? But that don't mean that all of us are dying. I want to bring that up. That don't mean that it's not people that's still in these provinces. It's just the sword is hitting people. It's we're constantly being born, but then we're constantly being cut off from the land of living too, right? But let us continue. So we're going to focus on this right here because I don't want them to trip y'all up on this, right? See, it says that they were going to be consumed and die in the land of Egypt. But of course, they're going to try to make it seem like all of us died. So when we get taken into Babylon, that the people that went into Babylon, those were the only Israelites left. I want y'all to know that in order for the Lord to come and recover us the second time, there will have to be, in Isaiah 11 and 11, there will have to be a remnant of us still in those parts from the ancient times. So that we're seeing right here in Jeremiah that we kept fleeing into Egypt, and Isaiah said that we kept fleeing into Egypt for help, right? So they were still in the land of Egypt, and they're still in the land of Egypt today because that's part of the house of bondage all over the world, right? Keep going, my brother.
So that none of the remnant of Judah, which are gone into the land of Egypt to sojourn there, shall escape or remain, that they should return into the land of Judah, to the which they have a desire to return to dwell there. For none shall return, but such as shall escape.
So look at this, right? You see where it says that none shall return there, right? But then skip down to verse 28 because there's something that's a little tricky here, right? Skip down to verse 28.
All right, hold on a sec. Trying to see why they come back. Okay, you said verse 28?
Verse 28.
Yet a small number that escape the sword shall return out of the land of Egypt into the land of Judah, and all the remnant of Judah that are gone into the land of Egypt to sojourn there shall know whose words shall stand, mine or theirs.
So a small remnant shall return, that shall escape the sword in Egypt, shall return back to the land of Judah, right? And then there's some that also shall remain in the land of Egypt. So that's what we wanted to establish here, brothers and sisters, that they did remain in the land of Egypt, a small remnant of them. So that small remnant grew into the Israelites that are there today, right? That's what we want to point out, because if this was saying what people will make it try to say, that means that there's nobody in the land of Egypt that shall be recovered again the second time, right? So let us continue. Now we're going to get into how many people went into Babylon when Nebuchadnezzar came and took them, right? Let's go to Jeremiah, the 52nd chapter. Jeremiah, the 52nd chapter. Jeremiah, the 52nd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 28.
This is a people whom Nebuchadnezzar carried away captive. In the 7th year, 3,000 Jews and 23.
Right. So now I want y'all to, so we're going to bring all of this together, right? Last week we read through the Yoruba oral tradition that they migrated 19 years after Nebuchadnezzar became king. Now 605 BCE. 19 years after Nebuchadnezzar became king was 586 BCE. This is when Judah got taken down, right? Right here it says that this is the 17th year of Nebuchadnezzar, right? This is following the oral tradition, or the oral tradition is following the Bible, right? 17th year would be 588 BCE, and he carried away 3,000 Jews, 3,023 Jews, right? Keep going, verse 29.
In the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar, he carried away captive from Jerusalem 832 persons.
So 832 Jews got taken in the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, right? So now, is that all the Israelites that are left, right? Let's keep going.
In the 320th year of Nebuchadnezzar,
Nebuzaradan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive of the Jews 745 persons. All the persons were 4,600.
So for all the persons that Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuzaradan brought into the land of Egypt was 4,600 people. Does that sound like the stars of heaven? Right. Like that's why I'm going to point out 4,600 people. That's all the Israelites that are all over the world. 4,600 people. No, as we show, a remnant of them stayed in the land of Israel. And if y'all notice, if you go into Jeremiah, the 43rd chapter, Nebuchadnezzar came down into Egypt to grab them and bring them back to Babylon as well. He didn't grab everybody, though. That's the point. He got 4,600 persons. He did not grab everybody, brothers and sisters. So we know that the rest of us went into Egypt, right? Now, all of y'all that doubt this, where did the rest of the Israelites go? And this is just 4,600 people in the kingdom of Judah. You had the nation of Israel that got taken out by the Assyrians. Where'd all these Israelites go, right? That's the question you want to ask them. Where did they go, right? Let us continue, right? Now we're going over to Ezra. Did we read everything? Yeah. Ezra, the 2nd chapter. Now we're going to see how many of them came out of Babylon, and we're going to ask the same question, right? Because it should be millions, even though they got killed by the sword. It's others that escaped from the siege. It's always Israelites that escape from every siege, brothers and sisters. Always Israelites that escape from every siege. Ezra, the 2nd chapter. Ezra, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1.
And these are the children of the providence that went up out of the captivity of those which had been carried away from Nebuchadnezzar. Let me make sure that's the right brother.
Yeah, that's
right. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away unto Babylon. And it came again unto Jerusalem and Judah, everyone unto his city.
So we're gonna see now how many people when we came out of Babylon, and now we're going. This is during Persian captivity, but Cyrus allowed us to go back and build, right? And we're gonna the detail of Artaxerxes finishing off, where we gonna finish off the temple, right? Excuse me. But how many people came out of the Babylonian captivity, right? Skip down to verse 64.
The whole congregation together was 40,002,303 scores.
So 42,360 people. This is just men, right? Because we usually, we know 42,000 people came out of the land of Israel and went back to Judah during the Persian captivity. But there were other people as well, right? Keep going. Verse 65.
Besides the servants and their maids, of whom there were 7,337, and there were among them 200 singing men and singing women.
Right. So this equals 49,797 Jews that went back into the land of Israel, right? Or everybody that was with them, right? So we know that it was more Israelites in the world than 49,797. That's what we want to point out, brothers and sisters. There were more Israelites than that to be recovered all over the world. He said they were going to be like the sands of the sea, meaning they're going to be millions and millions of Israelites. And we know that people escaped from the siege, right? So now this is what we're going to go into. We're going to go into some history real quick. Let's see. And where are we at? Okay. We're going to go into the Jews of Africa, and we're going to start at page 21.
Now, that's one of the pictures, isn't it?
Yeah.
The picture of the book. All right. So
yeah,
hold on. Let me.
We're going to put the pictures. I know people were asking for the sources last week. We're going to put the pictures up today.
All right. As soon as I
So y'all can
get this together. All right.
So remember I said that we hold on, wait a minute.
Which one is that again? Okay.
I'm sorry. Let's go do the Negro question. We're going to start there first.
Oh, well, I just
Negro question first. So
I don't know about y'all. This is off subject, but is anybody else stuff's like slow? Your phones, your computers? Because I swear, ever since that so-called breakdown, it's been slow. Which one did you say?
So the Negro question.
The
First one.
That one. Okay.
So this is coming from this book. We're going to start at chapter 2 and page 19, and we're going to establish all the places that they went into Egypt. So,
all right, just a second.
Whenever you're ready, my brother.
Oh, just trying to do too much. That's what I'm doing. So it should pop up on the screen in a second. So here we go.
One of the places we went to was Cyrene, right? Go ahead and read that.
Cyrene, Africa. Not much is known of Cyrene in Africa, but we do know black Jews were born here according to the Apostle Peter in the 2nd chapter of Acts.
Right, because, they had Pentecost. Brothers came up from Pentecost, from Cyrene, which is in Egypt by chance. So we really know that there had to be some people that got scattered and stayed in Egypt because there were people in Cyrene coming to Pentecost, y'all. Mm-hmm. Keep going.
And some of the prophets and teachers came from there according to Acts 13:1.
Mm-hmm.
And the close proximity to the Nile River would make this a quick getaway if you were fleeing the Assyrian horde.
So, of course, we're going to keep going. Of course, you got the 9 tribes that also fled into Egypt. And one of the places that would be right there would be Cyrene, right? So keep going.
We also know that it has been recorded that the Cyrenaica Jews revolted in 115 AD under the Romans, and that it ceased to exist after the Arab invasion in 640 AD.
So 115 AD, y'all. That means that you definitely had Israelites fleeing into Egypt also after 70 AD. This is shortly after 70 AD. Because we kept fleeing into Egypt, we took comfort in going into Egypt whenever we had invaders coming after us, right? So we're gonna get these brief descriptions on these places, and then after this, we're gonna focus primarily on two places, which is Alexandria and Elephantine, right? When it comes to Egypt, you can keep going.
All right, I'm trying to get that off the screen. Hold on a second. All right, just bear with me, y'all.
Is that him? Oh,
No. I was trying to get the.
I'm seeing it. Oh, Dave came back on.
Yeah, he back on. Okay, back to this. Alexandria is in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
History states that the Black Jews of Alexandria were present with the founding of this city by Alexander the Great in 332 BC.
So this is Alexandria. You heard of the Alexandrian Jews? They were there when Alexander the Great built Alexandria in Egypt. This is still in Egypt, brothers and sisters. Right? Keep going.
History also records that the city was wiped out by the Roman Trojan during the Jewish revolt in 115 through 117 AD.
So again, we're going all the way from the time when Nebuchadnezzar, even when Assyria came, we're going all the way back to that time, showing that the Jews fled into Egypt by way of Babylon and other parts and around the area, right? Keep going. Now we're dealing with Elephantine.
Elephantine is in Africa.
Right.
As late as 494 BC, documents show that this Jewish community had a temple in Elephantine and a temple in Jehovah, and that some of the people were soldiers.
So Elephantine was another place. Now while we read in Ezra, they went back into the land. Some Jews were in Elephantine during the Persian captivity, right? So they remained in Egypt, and because not everybody went back. Some people stayed in Babylon, right? Not everybody wanted to go back to Egypt. Go back to Israel during the time of Ezra and Nehemiah and so on and so forth, right? Keep going.
Memphis.
Now we're dealing with Memphis. These are other places where they're going.
In Africa.
Right.
Much is known about the fact that Jeremiah the prophet and the king's seed sought refuge in Egypt, which is in Africa. See Jeremiah the 43rd chapter, verses 1 through 7, and Jeremiah the 44th chapter, verses 1 through 3. Egypt was overrun by the Arabs under Caliphus in 640 AD.
So we know now we got certain places because you got the Roman captivity, and then you got the revolts in Egypt shortly after 70 AD, and then you got the Arab invasions in 64 AD, 640 AD. So follow all of this as we go through the history, brothers and sisters. That all of these points are going to really stand out when we get down here, because we want to know where Israel went after 70 AD. It's kind of clouded, but we want to know where they went after 70 AD, and where they went is Egypt. Egypt, brothers and sisters. Egypt. That's where they escaped to. Let's point that out, right?
Right. They were not taken there.
They were not taken there in ships. They went to the Mediterranean and the Rome and all that, and then surrounding areas in Europe. But that was the people that got taken into captivity at that time. We are talking about the ones that listened to Christ and got up out of there, right, at that time, right? So where we're going now, there's a map on page, what is that?
Page 21.
21. If you get this book, there's a map on page 21. It's just summarizing what places that we went to in the land of Egypt, right? Keep going, right?
Take note of Carthage, Cyrene, Alexandria, Elephantine, and Memphis were all Jewish. Jewish colonies located in Africa, which is in Libya.
Right.
Today, modern Libya.
Right.
Not to mention Israel in the Northeast Africa.
So we just want to establish these were the Jewish colonies that were in Egypt at this time, brothers and sisters. So we know and have an idea of where Israel went, right? So now we're going into The Jews of Africa by Cindy Mendelson. You can get that up.
All right.
So, find this one. And we're going to start at 21.
One day I'm going to master this thing. One day I'm going to master it. Which one was that again? Show me the cover. Okay, right here.
Right. So this is where we're going, right? The Jews of Africa by Cindy Mendelson. And we're going to talk about Alexandria now. Let me read what's highlighted.
All right. The Jews of Africa. The history of the Jews of Alexandria is unlike that of their brethren in most of the towns in the world. It's so much as they were present at the time of very inception of the city by its founders, Alexander the Great.
That's what we just read in the Negro question, right? So this is just another witness showing that this is true, right? Keep going.
From that time to the present day, a period of nearly 22 and a half centuries, the Jewish inhabitants of Alexandria have formed an integral and at times extremely important portion of the population of the town, protected by the Ptolemies. They enjoyed almost complete civil and religious liberty, and according to the recent discovered inscription of their ancient synagogues was dedicated to Ptolemy II and his sister and his wife Bernice.
So if y'all know anything about the Maccabean revolt, this is right before the Maccabean revolt, maybe 200 and so years before the Maccabean revolt. And they did have civil rights, so the Greeks didn't make them. Antiochus made them give up their rights as far as being Jews and things like that. But we're establishing that they've been in Alexandria, and it said 22 generations, y'all. 22 generations. So we know that they've been in Egypt for a while, right? Mm-hmm. Now let us go to page 18.
18?
Mm-hmm. Page 18.
All right.
What does it say? Oh, keep going. Go ahead.
All right. The Jews of.
Let me see that real quick. See if it's in order. Yep, that's it. Go ahead.
All right. The Jews of Africa. Palestine remained in Egypt in an Egyptian province until 198 BC, and the earlier Ptolemies. Why can't I say his name right, man? I always say Ptolemies.
Right.
All right. So the earlier Ptolemies befriended the Jews both of Egypt and in her dependencies. The Jews of Alexandria had formed an important portion of the inhabitants of the town from its foundation by Alexander the Great in 332 BC.
And now let me point something out, right? See, during this time, we also know that they went into Egypt because guess what? The Septuagint was created around this time.
Uh-oh.
The Septuagint. So you know they had to be in Egypt because under the Ptolemies, you have the translation of the Hebrew Bible into the Greek Septuagint, brothers and sisters. So we know that they are there in Egypt, right? Keep going.
And Ptolemy the first granted them the separate section of the city so that they may not be hindered in the observance of their laws by continual contact with the pagan population.
And it's for all those that say we were not keeping the laws in captivity.
Wow.
We've been keeping the laws in captivity, brothers and sisters. We've been keeping it, right? And we're going to keep keeping it. And for those that don't know who Ptolemy is, when Alexander the Great died, the 4 generals took over. Ptolemy was one of the generals. He was what you call the king of the south in Daniel, the 11th chapter, right? The king of the south, because he was the king over Egypt, which is south of the land of Israel, right?
So these Jews, our ancestors,
right,
kept the laws of God. The country that they were in, that dude said, okay, y'all can do that over there.
Right. And we kept the laws of God, right?
Outside the land of Israel. That's the point I'm trying to get to, too. With
right. And then when we get in the elephant time, they had a whole temple keeping the laws in a foreign land. So I don't want to hear that They even got what you call the Passover papyrus. They were keeping the Passover in the land of Egypt, y'all. Keep going, my brother.
All right. The Jews, however, were not confined to this quarter, and their dwellings and their synagogues were distributed all over the city.
Mm-hmm.
Nor were their rights disputed when the Romans took possession of Egypt.
Right.
And the Emperor Augustus confirmed, and his successor maintained them.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, the Alexandrian Jews not only enjoyed civil rights. Wow. Wow.
They had civil rights in the land of Egypt, right?
And this is Rome?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. But in public life occupied a more influential position than anywhere else in the ancient world.
Mm-hmm.
In the year 38 AD, a persecution of the Jews in Alexandria took place under the auspices under the auspices of the Roman governor Felicius.
Mm-hmm.
And in the course of the next century, revolts of the Jewish inhabitants against their Roman oppressors were frequent.
Now, I want y'all to ask yourself something. When Christ fled into Egypt, where would he have gone? He would have gone to these places that we're naming. You had Elephantine, where Jews were at. You had Memphis, where Jews were at. You had Alexandria, where Jews were at. So it was many places he could have gone to in Egypt to hide from Herod. Right, I just wanted to point that out. He hid among Jews that were black. And we're going to, like I said, we wasn't going to deal with color, but we're going to deal with color today just because the brother was on that last week, right? So now we're going to get into another place that they went to, which was Ethiopia. They didn't just go into Egypt, they went to Ethiopia. Go to page 4, my brother.
4?
Yeah, 4. So we're gonna read this, and so we're gonna start back a little bit because we're gonna look at it in detail. What happened with Assyria, Babylon, and link all of it together with the last video we did last week as well.
That Sargon or Sennacherib, the successor of Shalmaneser the third.
Shalmaneser is the one that took out the 10 tribes, and then he sent them to Habor, Halad, by the river Gozan, and by the city of Damin. So we know that is where Israel ended up as far as the 10 tribes, why the Lord is going to have to recover them from Assyria because they're over there in those lands as well, right? Keep going.
King of Assyria have continued the war commenced by the predecessor conqueror of Kingdom of Israel and brought the captive Jews and their king Hosea to his country in 722 BC.
So that is Samaria. We're going 722 BCE, right? Keep going.
And from thence, they eventually found their way into Abyssinia and Ethiopia.
Or Abyssinia and Ethiopia. So this is going to be the start of why we have Christianity in Ethiopia, the Church of Ethiopia, in as far as the Christian Church of Ethiopia, because they went into. So we know that they're going into. We're going into Egypt, and now we're going into Abyssinia, Ethiopia, where we're going to run into the Phalasha as well, right?
Yeah, this is explaining a lot. this book's explaining a lot.
All right,
man.
keep going.
That after the destruction of Jerusalem by Vespasian in 70 AD, large numbers of Jews fled and drifted into Ethiopia. And how you say that again? Abyssinia and the neighboring territory.
So now you have the Church of Ethiopia that's coming in the 4th century. That's how they got there, brothers and sisters. That's how they got there, right? And then you also have where the things were already set up, because you had the eunuch that was in Acts the 8th chapter, who was a man of authority under the Kandake or the Candace, Queen of Ethiopia, right? So now let's go to page 13. So now we're going to bring the Philashas in, right? So that's one of the tribes that we know that's in Africa. That is, you can start right there.
Yeah,
and that is one of the tribes of Israel, right? You going?
Notwithstanding the dispersion of the Philoshes, many of them still live together in villages in various parts of Abyssinia.
So we know that the Philoshes came out of Abyssinia, right? Keep going.
As well as in the larger towns. Writing early in the 19th century, Gobat, one of the emissaries of the Church Missionary Society.
So this is one of the guys from the Church Missionary Society. He's going to explain what he sees among the Philoshes, right? Keep going.
Remarks that the Philoshes live so retired and are so separated from the Christians.
Oh, so there is a difference here, right? And we talk, and we are talking about we're talking about the Sunday Christians because there was a total difference between the life of the Israelites and the life of a Sunday Christian. I just want to point it out. This is
right. It's Sunday. I always say Sunday doctrine,
right?
Christian.
Okay, Sunday doctrine Christian. We're going to be fair, right?
So they were Sabbath keepers, and they were keeping themselves away from the Sunday doctrine Christian.
Right. Now let's get into how the Philoshes felt. That like they say they was retired, right? So they were so clingy to their way of life. Look what it says that they felt about the Christians, right? Keep going.
Yeah. That the latter know scarcely anything either of their doctrines or of their manners.
Right, now read right here.
The Philoshes, having spoken with Christians, never entered into their own houses.
What is that? The cleanliness laws,
yeah,
right?
Let me start that again. The Philoshes have, after having spoken with Christians, never entered their own houses without first washing their bodies and changing their dress. Their intercourse with the Mohammedans,
right? We talking about the Islam,
is a little more free than with the Christians. Wow. They never carry arms either for attack or defense.
Right.
They maintain their own poor and will not suffer them to beg.
So now we're going to get into it because we're going to read that too. We're going to get it. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to get into, now we're picking up the customs that these people got to be Hebrew Israelites. We know that the Israelites went into Abyssinia, Ethiopia after the 10 tribes got taken down. And guess what the Philoshes know themselves as? It's Beta Israel, the tribe of Dan, which is from the northern kingdom. We see how all of this is connecting, brothers and sisters, right? So let's see what the missionaries spotted out more with the Philoshes, right? Keep going.
As far more detailed and interesting account of the Philoshes is afforded by Henry A. Stern, right, who was sent as a missionary to them for 30 years after Gobat.
So now 30 years, right? Studying the Philoshes for 30 years, just like Dirk Lang was studying the Yorubas for 30 years, right? So these brothers know what they're talking about. Let's keep going.
And some 30 years after Gobat visited the country, a Jew by birth, Stern was in a better position to judge of many characteristics and customs of the Philoshes than other travelers or missionaries.
Right.
And despite his conversion to Christianity, he was more sympathetic towards their conditions and more tolerant of their superstitions.
Mm-hmm.
He remarks had after the fall of their last king. Mm-hmm. Okay. The Philoshes were driven from their rocky homes and forced to seek refuge in the midst of their enemies.
Right, because we always seeking refuge in the midst of our enemies, it seems, right? Keep going.
The detested Amoras, the providence of where they at present, the providence of where they at presented resided are Dembia, mm-hmm, Kuara, Wogaria.
Right, these are the regions that they're in, brothers and sisters. Just pointing that out.
Techla, and God Jam. That was too close, man.
Right.
That's too. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Therefore, their settlements are strikingly distinguished from the Christian villages by a red earthen pot on the apex of their nesquid.
Right.
or place of worship, which towers from the center of the thatch huts by which it is invariably environed.
Mm-hmm.
The Falashes pride themselves on the purity of their race, and their intermarriages with other tribes are strictly forbidden.
Right. So that's how they live amongst the Falashes, as far as that's concerned. Right. Keep going.
Very early marriages are discouraged, and polygamy is not allowed.
Right. So just because, now I want to point that out.
Wow.
Because we will talk about how multiple wives is not a sin, but just because they're Israelite, just because they're living in Africa, don't mean they practice polygamy, brothers and sisters.
Right.
So we wanted to give some balance. If you go amongst the Falashes, don't think you're gonna be having more than one wife. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what that is. They don't live like that, right? Keep going.
But their daughters and their wives are not shut up in their homes. They enjoy immunity from all slavish restraint.
Mm-hmm.
The Falashes are faithful to the law of Moses as far as their limited knowledge of the scriptures extends. They still offer sacrifices, but these observances are not carried out by the presence of strangers.
Right.
The law of purification is strictly adhered to, and every Falasha settlement has a hut at its outskirts, and there are the unclean and the impure must take refuge during the prescribed number of days.
Right. So we're
that
going
ain't nothing but book.
It's nothing but book. So they're now that they follow the cleanliness laws of Leviticus 12 and Leviticus the 15th chapter, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
It is stated that the Jewish feasts are regularly observed.
So we got the Jewish feast, or the feast of the Lord, right? But they call them the Jewish feast, right? Keep going.
Though with less rigor than by the Jews of other parts of the world, Passover is solemnized by offering an appointed sacrifice and by the substitution of unleavened bread. And the Feast of Pentecost, the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, the Feast of Tabernacles, the people bring their offerings to the Mesquids and also join in appropriate commemorative prayers. Beyond this, the abstinence of agricultural pursuits, they neither blow the horn, erect booths, nor practice the other ancient ceremonies of the synagogue.
Right, because we know that eventually as you go down the line, the purest form of the Torah was losing. Like, we lost our heritage. So it's just showing you down the line that bits and pieces are being lost from the original practices of Torah, right? Keep going.
The Sabbath is kept quite strictly. The preparations for it commencing on Fridays at noon. Services are held on Friday evenings and Saturday mornings.
Oh, that sounds real familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah, and the prayers are not to be found in other Jewish rituals.
So we know that's how they do. And another thing, that the Colossians also circumcised his sons on the 8th day of circumcision, right? You can find that in their practices as well, right?
So they're keeping preparation day at Friday at noon,
right?
And then when the sun go down, they keeping service, and on Saturday they keep a
like
service.
We're doing today, brothers and sisters.
We're doing that
right now. Let's go. I missed the. You got the Elephant Time video that I sent you.
Yeah. Hold on, I got to get out of this.
So now, we're gonna go back to Elephant Time because we're gonna now get into the Ebos, and we know through the oral tradition of the Ebos, they also started in Egypt, right? So we're gonna give you a little bit of history with Elephant Time. So we did Alexandria, we did Abyssinia, did Ethiopia, right? And now we're gonna deal with the Elephant Time, right?
All right, here you go.
Rivers of Babylon. The people wept when they remembered Zion. Bible further speaks of the poor Jews that were left behind in Judah. Many of them fled to Egypt. It is thought that some of these Jews continued their journey far down the reaches of the Nile, where they came to the island of Elephantine,
We
to
want
a
to
place
have slow
called the
things.
city.
So what I'm gonna do, people, is I'm gonna rewind this because I see we got slow. So I'm gonna start this from the beginning one more time. All right. Hopefully it'll play through.
Rivers of Babylon, the people wept when they remembered Zion. The Bible further speaks of the poor Jews that were left behind in Judah. Many of them fled to Egypt. It is thought that some of these Jews continued their journey far down the reaches of the Nile, where they came to the island of Elephantine, to a place called the City of Ivories. It is documented in the Elephantine papyri that the Jews developed a remarkable trading relationship with the land of Ethiopia. Using the Nile as a highway, war elephants, ivory, spices, and gold passed through Elephantine on the way north to Alexandria and the Mediterranean. The Elephantine Jews grew rich and powerful. They built the first temple outside of Jerusalem and formed a militia known as the Jewish Force, which was charged with protecting Egypt's southern frontier. Elephantine was also the sacred island of the Egyptian deity Canub, whose sacred beast was the ox. But when the Jews persisted in sacrificing these animals during their rituals, in revenge, the Egyptian priests, in league with the Persian commander of the city, destroyed the Jewish temple in 411 BC. After the decline of Elephantine, it is theorized that the Jewish community followed the well-known trade route down the Blue Nile. A Falasha spiritual leader said in the 1860s that we came after Jeremiah. We came by Sennar and from there to Axum. In the 9th century, Eldad Hadani, the fabled Jewish traveler, reported a powerful Jewish nation existed in Africa. He said the kingdom had been founded by the tribe of Dan. The kingdom was reportedly surrounded by the mystical Sambachan River, which rolled sand and stone during the week, but was surrounded by fire during the Sabbath.
Go ahead and talk to it.
Yeah, so brothers and sisters, as you can see, we got a real vast history. You know what I'm saying? Now, another thing with the Comedics don't seem to want to bring up is this Elephantine papyrus, or it's also called the Passover papyrus, showing evidence that we were in Egypt keeping the Passover in Egypt. Why they don't want to bring that up? You know what I'm saying? Why you don't want to bring that up? But I don't know. I digress from that. But as we're seeing, this is our history in the flesh, brothers and sisters, and we're going to continue, right?
So you want to, we can read this. I turned the music down because I don't need this to get flagged.
Okay.
So while that's playing, I guess I could read this, okay?
Right. So that can be playing. And now we're going to deal with the Igbo, because the Igbo also have oral tradition coming, and they're more so showing the northern tribes, northern kingdom. We're going to see that they came down there before anybody else, and we're going to show what their oral tradition says, right?
Okay. So this is the first book, the Negro Question, that we put up. So, but we're going to let the video keep playing. All right. Was that Neri?
Neri.
Okay. Neri Kingdom is the oldest kingdom in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. It was founded around 900 AD by the progenitor Eri, son of Gad.
Now, of course, Gad was not alive, the actual real Gad, in 900 AD. But what our ancestors used to always do is that they'll pass down the names of our progenitors down through the line. So Eri, the son of Gad, whoever this was, is the one. Whoever this was the one that started the Neri kingdom according to their oral tradition, right?
Mhm.
All what's highlighted.
The Neri traced their lineage back to Eri, the son of Gad.
Mm-hmm.
And upon closer inspection of the tribe, a temple was found in the inscription, "Holy to Gad," an onyx stone with Gad's name written in ancient Hebrew.
Right, because the Igbo language is about, which we're going to get into, being the Bantu languages. The Igbo language is the Hebrew language. Now, it might not necessarily be the purest ancient language, but if you put the Igbo language and the Hebrew language next to each other, you're going to see that it's obviously Hebrew. Right, keep going.
According to Igbo, I'm sorry, it's just bugging me. Try not to let that get too close.
Okay.
All right. So where was I? According to the Igbo lore of Eri, Neri, and Azulububu. No, Azul. They gonna stone me for saying it.
Zubulu, yeah.
Zubulu families, the Jewish Igbo ethnic groups are comprised of the following three lineage types: Beni Goth.
Right. So now we're getting into the tribes specifically, because people get that, well, not all the Igbos is Israelites and this, that, and the other. So we're not finna sit here and make blanket statements on anything. We're gonna get to the specifications of things. Most of the Igbos are Israelites, and we're talking about the ones that migrated down there in the Neri kingdom, right? Keep going.
The clans said to come from this lineage comprised of the Alguleri,
Yeah,
Almuleri, Oriel. I'm gonna let you say these names, man.
So hold on.
You say the names, man.
It probably ain't gonna do. Forgive me, my Igbo brothers and sisters, if we butcher these words.
I don't need no threats.
I'm trying to give y'all props as well. So Ori, Egnuwu, Ekwu, Egboniki, Aqua, Akkuzu, TG, and Ikbarim, and Benai Zebulon. So now we're going into Zebulon.
Africa laughing right now.
Right. So now we're going into Zebulon. Them actually saying that they're Gadites, but now they're saying that Zebulon is also among them, right? Let us keep going. Igbos said to have descended from the tribe of Zebulon ben Yaakov,
okay,
who was the fifth son of Yaakov, which is Jacob. This lineage comprised of the Ubulu, Kiti, Abulu, Akwu, and Delta State, who settled in the Bulu, Ihajofo. According to tradition, it is said that a descendant of the tribe of Zebulon named Zebulunu, on the advice of a certain Levite, married a woman of Og who descended from the tribe of Judah. So y'all see that this is in their oral tradition, right?
Right.
This is what they are claiming, right? I just want to point that out. This is what they are claiming. And from the union was born Zubulu ben Zebulunu. It is said that Zubulu then went on to have 4 sons of his own who settled into the other parts of the region. These sons being Amakwa, from whom the clan in Nini, Anabra State, descended from Bima, from the Egbami Bima Agwuta clan in Umu State, and Ahaji Bima clan in River State, descended Benai Manasseh, of whom descended the tribe of Manasseh.
Look at Sister Denise.
Yeah, we understand. But see, nevertheless,
right.
Nevertheless, we have, these are the tribes from the Igbos that are claiming that they're we have Gad, Zebulun, and Manasseh amongst them, right?
Mhm.
Now you can.
Oh, you gonna give it back to me now?
Now my brother finna take back over. Now we
Listen,
back.
don't send me no threatening. You know, y'all. Hey, we lost our heritage,
Right,
man.
like that's
Okay.
how we lost our heritage.
We trying
lost
to get
our
it back.
language. We're trying to get it back.
All right. So back here,
What's highlighted? Yeah.
Hebrews were transported from this area to Virginia, Kentucky, and Maryland.
So you know, a lot of us that's over here in the United States are either Igbo or Yoruba, and you got other miscellaneous tribes. You probably got some Ashanti over here and Wolof, things like that.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it's Igbos and Yorubas, right? Keep going.
It is said that 60% of all African Americans have at least one Igbo ancestor.
And here's goes a side note just for y'all that like this, right? Keep going.
This is 60% of us. Wow. The word okra is an Igbo word.
Or if you like okra, the word okra is an Igbo or Hebrew word. You know what I'm saying? That's just a little side note to throw in there. Now let us continue. Now we're going to page the next page. Right?
I'm sorry. Look at this comment. Hold on. Brother Jason Cole said, "My wife is Igbo."
Brother Jason, tell your wife we're sorry, sister. But like I said, we're just trying to show her heritage. Give her the
Sister Savannah said we get an A for effort. Lisa said my father's Igbo. Hey, we tried, man.
So like I said, for my Igbo brothers, you got traditions that are saying Zebulun, Gad, or Manasseh. So we know since they were the ones that came down in Nigeria first, we're seeing the 9 or the 10 tribes come down into Nigeria, and then the Yoruba showing their oral tradition to be the southern kingdom, which we're gonna see that it was many Yorubas in the slave coast. And there's one thing I know is the reason why they called the slave coast the kingdom of Judah is because you had them down there, y'all.
Right.
You had them down there, right? So let us continue.
All right. So we're right here.
Right. So now we're going into the limbo, right? And hopefully we don't come across these crazy things.
All right. Tudor Parfit, a protagonist of the Nova documentary.
So we have Tudor Partif, right? He's another author of he has a book, The Black Jews of Africa and the Americas, and y'all should read that too. Tudor Partif. Go on.
The Lost Tribe of Israel made a trip to South Africa to study the Limba tribe and their traditions. Mm-hmm. He wrote that he observed their customs of keeping the Sabbath, not eating blood of their foods, their keeping of the dietary law, and circumcising of their sons on the 8th day.
Right.
Based on these observations, Mr. Parfit came to the conclusion that the Limba people customs were Semitic.
Yes. Y'all see this?
And not Hamitic.
Semitic, right?
Yes.
They were Semitic, right? Keep going.
I like these guys' work. Wait a minute. I like this guy's work to the max, but he failed to mention one thing, that is that the Limba history. The Limba have been keeping the law of circumcision and other Hebraic customs for thousands of years.
Right.
In fact, when the white missionaries came to Africa, they already knew about Jesus. Wow.
See what I'm saying?
Wow.
They already knew, because these are the people. This is also showing you that the Limba, if they already knew about Jesus, they would have to come out of the southern kingdom. They came out of Yemen. They came out of Yemen with the Yoruba, who also shows the southern kingdom. So you got the Yoruba showing the southern kingdom with the Limba spreading off from the Yoruba going down into South Africa. And they are claiming, which not just they're claiming, but the genetics that they took is showing that they have the Kohen gene, which are the Levite priests, right? Keep going, my brother.
They knew about
Jesus.
They
knew about Jesus.
That's what I'm tripping on. Okay.
So they kept it. They knew about Jesus, whatever they believed is him to be, but they knew about him, but they were still keeping the law, statutes, and commandments as far as the Old Testament, right? Keep going.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. All right, where was that? I like these guys work with the Limba have been keeping the law of circumcision and other Hebraic customs for 1,000 years. In fact, the white missionaries came to Africa and they already knew about Jesus. In order to prove or disprove the assertions of the Limba tribe, he undertook a venture with the Center for Genetic Anthropology in London.
Right. Let's see what this says. Right. Let's see the results that came out of this study. Right. Keep going, my brother.
And over here too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're getting into the Bantu.
And they identified the Y chromosome marker on the Limba males as compared to the Bantu Africans, Yemeni Arabs, Sephardic Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, and the Kohanim, right?
The Kohen, right? This
Yeah.
is the Kohen gene, which you could trace back to the sons of Aaron, brothers and sisters, the Levite priests and sons of Aaron, right? Keep going.
Nova Team Dr. David Goldstein commented on the Limba Y Bubba clan chromosome was a match to the Kohen chromosome identified in the Jewish priesthood.
Right.
Man.
So y'all see that? We got genetics, right? And like I said, my brothers from the walls of Jericho, we don't necessarily bank on genetics, right? But the thing that always tripped me out is the genetics is following the Bible, y'all. It's following the Bible. So the genetics that we're finding, and we're just stumbling across this stuff because we don't go and look for it. But then when we run into it, it's like, wow, this is actually following the scripts.
And this is why, again, it's a warning to you, urban apologists and Christian apologists. You can't stop the Lord at his game.
You cannot stop it.
You can't stop him. Because at first, when we was claiming that we're Israel, we was linking ourselves to people. And what was the first thing they started doing? Get genetic testing.
Right.
Get genetic testing. Now, genetic testing been going on, and it's right here.
It's right here, and it's happening, right? But what else are they finding out as far as who we are? And we're gonna show like a secular common name that will be for us on a secular level, because brothers and sisters, you can prove the Bible without using the Bible historically. You know, a lot of people, man, we didn't have people, and I know my brother Ade, when he comes in, he's gonna mention this. We didn't have brothers that told us prove the Bible without using the Bible. Then when we do it, they can't believe it, right? Because this history is out here and it's following what the God of Israel said. You're gonna have to go back to the Bible regardless, but it's following what the God of Israel is saying.
When I look at history books, I've always said that history is him telling his story on himself.
Right.
So what happens is usually conquerors, they want to brag and all that stuff.
Right.
But all this stuff was meant for us.
Right.
Because now that we got the Bible, when people say prove it with other books and stuff, now the Lord is like, here's this book. I had them write this centuries ago.
Right.
And man, here you go.
So brothers and sisters, what we also showing is, and I see brothers and sisters showing that they're Ebos. Ebos, we were going to read this, but we're gonna save that for time. So
you don't want to read the rest of this?
Yeah, you read the rest. Okay. Hold on. But the Ebos, brothers and sisters, do circumcision on the 8th day. You can also read a book called the Autobiography of Ola Uda Equiano. He shows you that kept the cleanliness laws. They kept circumcision on the 8th day. They kept the levirate marriage, which you can find in Deuteronomy 25, 5 and 6, when a man marries his dead brother's widow. And names his seed after his brother, his dead brother, right? All of these customs in West Africa, in Evre land, in Hebrew land, where they were speaking the Bantu language, which we're finna get into, which is Hebrew, right? Keep going, my brother.
Also of particular interest is the fact that they sought out Bantu Africans.
So this is how we're going with this, right? And they also kept the new moon cycles too. I just wanted to throw that out there too. Okay. Right? Keep going.
Let's deviate for a moment. As you might have not known, there are about 250 Bantu place names in South Carolina.
Where we find them? The Gullah, which I'm from the Gullah Geechee people, right? Mm-hmm. The Gullah people are Bantu people Hebrews, right? If you look on the chart, which I said I was also, we're going to deal with that too, which I was also going to show, which I don't get with my One West brothers. Y'all put Seminole on the chart, but not Gullah. Somebody like me would be looking at that like, why you got that on there? They're not Hebrews. And you got people like the urban apologists. I remember seeing vocab go in on the Seminoles, and the bad part about it is he's right. He's right. They're not, and that's embarrassing, y'all.
Right.
Right. So we're gonna show that this stuff is not. We're gonna clean this stuff up. Right. Keep going, my brother.
Let's do 250 Bantu names in South Carolina. Bantu speaking people were found in Angola, Rwanda, Burundi, Zimbabwe, and South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
The Bantu speaking people of Angola were first brought to Brazil by the Portuguese.
Right.
There was research done by Dr. Joseph P. Holloway, a professor at California State University at Northridge, which provides extremely useful information. He found Bantu place names in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia.
So if y'all got people that live in these parts, and you know history that people live in these parts, you are from the Bantu peoples, brothers and sisters. Igbos are Bantus, Yorubas are Bantus, Ashantis are Bantus, Lembas are Bantus, Falashas are Bantus. You see what I'm saying? They are Bantus, or the people that speak the Bantu language. Once again, this is the Hebrew language, brothers and sisters, which we're going to show in a minute, right? Keep going.
What does this mean? It's quite simple. It proves that Black Jews associated with the Lemba tribe, Bantu-speaking people, were held captive in the South, and that upon the great migration of Negroes from 1910 to 1930 in the years 1940 to 1970, these Black Jews saturated the northern cities like Chicago.
Oh my goodness. You mean that there's Hebrew people in Chicago?
Oh my goodness.
I think so. You know, keep going.
Philadelphia, Washington, Detroit, Indiana, Wisconsin, and so forth.
So we are over here based on the studies of these historians, these anthropologists, and all that jazz, right? Yes, brothers, sisters. Yes, Sister Judea. I am Gullah as well. Yes. And like I said,
Sister Linda too.
Linda, like I said, y'all, when y'all see that chart and it says Seminole, why? Like, tell these brothers and sisters you're Gullah, right? And and what's crazy is, if the Ashanti come amongst the Gullah, and the queen will say this, the queen of the Gullah Geechee people, she will say this. If the Ashanti come up on the Gullah, they'll be considered Gullah. If the Yoruba come up and to the Gullah, they're going to be considered Gullah. It is all, I'm seeing how y'all taking this, brothers and sisters. This is joyful. We have our history and our heritage back, brothers and sisters. This is all praises to the Most High, Elohim, and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name, right?
My grandfather, like, you know, I'm adopted.
Right.
But as far as my real family, I know my grandfather is either from Mississippi or New Orleans.
Right.
Because the ships came that way.
Right.
And then my mother's side is Seminole. You know, and she used to tell me too, she's like, you look just like my grandfather, mean as hell, always looking mean. I'm like, I don't be trying to be, but you know, of course we got to go with the father side.
Right.
So yeah, man, this is blowing my mind man.
This stuff is like, man, and this stuff is regular history that's just out here, brothers and sisters. That's the point of all of this, right? You finished that?
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to the Negro question part 2, and this is dealing with the slave coast. This book is dealing with the slave coast of Judah.
Where am I starting? This one?
And we're going to pick this back up. Now we're going to prove that and by the way, y'all, Lee Cummins, the person that wrote this book, is fluent in speaking Hebrew. So just so y'all know, when y'all see these words, even if we butcher them, he knows what he's talking about. So we're going to now keep going with the Bantus, right? And like I said, the Bantus is a classification for all of us, no matter what tribe you come from in the Eble land. the Bantus is a secular name for all of us, right? Continue, my brother.
All right, so this is chapter 7, Black Jewish Empires of West Africa. This is Ghana from the years 700 to 1235 AD.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot bring up the discussion of the Empire of Ghana without mentioning the Great Bantu Migration. 60 million people.
60 millions. There go that million again, brothers and sisters. 60 million Bantus in the migration. And this fulfills the prophecy what we see in Zephaniah 3 and 10 through the Bantu migration, brothers and sisters. Keep going. 60
million people that took place in Western, Southern, and Eastern Africa from 300 AD to 1500.
So this was shortly, remember all the revolts that they had? So the Alexandrian Jews and all of them, they eventually joined up with the other Bantus and went and had the migration down to sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa, and spread it all over, right? And we named all the places they came from. We're gonna name some more places that they came from, right? Keep going.
Bantu was once the language that was spoken from Ghana to South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Bantu was spoken in Ghana, Ashanti, which is Levites, Limba, Levites.
So what they specify this tribe, there are Levites among the Limba, or more specifically, there are more Levites among the Limba and the Ashanti, but Ashanti has Simeon and Judah amongst them as well, brothers and sisters. Keep on.
Kingdom of Judah.
So they go to Kingdom of Judah that has Bantus in the Kingdom of Judah. And once again, we're going to show another person, Rabbi Kwete from the Gandambe tribe. He's going to summarize all this, is that the slave coast was Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria, which is Hebrew land, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
Congo and Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so that 60 million Bantu speaking people over 1500-year period flooded West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Why would all of these people flee to West Africa? Some fled the Assyrian invasion in Israel.
So you got some Bantus that came from the northern kingdom, brothers and sisters. So let's put all of this together so we can see the whole story, right?
Some fled the Assyrian invasion in Israel in 722. Is that BC? Yeah, that would be BC. Yeah, BC. Some fled the Babylonian invasion in Israel in 606 BC.
Mm-hmm.
Some fled the Roman invasion in Israel in 70 AD.
Mm-hmm.
And some fled the Black Arab invasion of Israel in 640 AD.
And what's crazy is y'all understand that the Black Arabs, 640 from the Caliphs, you also find them amongst the Fulani, right? The original Fulani were Israelites that created the Songhai Empire, but the Fulani that came after them, that actually conquered them and brought Islam amongst them, were the Arab Fulani, the Black Arab Fulani. We're seeing all of this stuff come together, brothers and sisters. All this history come together, right? Keep going, my brother.
Is there any proof of this? Of course there is. Let's examine the proof that is on the ground.
So let's get into some of these Hebrew words, these Bantu words, and he's gonna analyze them with the Hebrew, right? Keep going.
Bantu Hebrew names. There's a town in the Congo called Kalongolo.
Mm-hmm.
A prefix Khan in Hebrew means settled in.
So my brothers out there, I know my brothers, my One West brothers, they like to say Khan a lot. And you know what I'm saying? And it's K-A-N when it comes from them, from the Lashawan Kadesh language. But Khan in his Hebrew language is K-O-N. So y'all can see that this is Hebrew, the Hebrew language, right? Keep going.
And then the suffix Golo means exile.
Mm-hmm.
Put the two Hebrew words together and you get settled in exile.
And some of my Gullah family, Gullah comes from the word Gola, or Angola, right? Because that's really where most of them came from, was Angola, even though you got it from other places as well. But the word Gola is a Hebrew word, brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Hebrew word. So just understand, you are definitely Hebrew by the language, by the customs, by the feast days, holy days, new moons, circumcision on the 8th day, livread, marriage. Y'all see what? We ain't even gotten in the color yet, brothers and sisters. You see what I'm saying?
The name of this book, Sister Hepburn,
go ahead,
is The Negro Question Part 2. the African slave ships that came from Judah.
Right.
Reason I'm doing that is because she probably couldn't see it well on the screen. So
Right.
it's called the Negro Question Part 2.
And if brothers and sisters, I will be on the post. I can see the post up. I'll be on the post. I will put the pictures and stuff of the books on the post as well. Like what?
Shot lights in the house.
Shining stars. That's what Israel is. Like the stars in heaven, right? Shining stars, right?
Keep okay. I gotta get him on. Man, all these people commented, don't you? Okay, let's just do this. Okay. So let's move back where we was at. Put the two Hebrews together and you get settled in exile. Let's look at the Bantu word Bar Congo, which means girded sons. In Hebrew, the word is spelled Bar Kagor, which means girded sons.
Y'all see the comparison?
Coincidence.
Is this a coincidence or is this the same language? Let's keep going.
Did you know that the word Guinea is derived from
it's typo, but it's a word.
It's derived from the word Ghana,
right,
which means warrior king.
So Guinea derives from the word Ghana, which is derived from a Hebrew word, which means warrior king, because Ghana was originally not the place, but Ghana was the name of the king of that area, brothers and sisters. That's why they end up just calling the whole place Ghana, right? Mm-hmm. And then you got Guinea, which if you saw that map we showed last week, Guinea and Negro land all of that compasses every land, right? Or Hebrew land, right? Keep going.
Did you know that? Let's look at. Okay, I did. Well, yeah. Let's look at a few more Bantu words. Let's look at the word son in Bantu. Mm-hmm. The word son is spelled Bina or Bana, like banana. In Hebrew, the word is spelled Ben.
So Bina and Ben. It's the same language, brothers and sisters. Keep going. Like I said, it's not the purest form because y'all can see there's dialect changes in here, of course. But just because it's not the purest form of Hebrew does not mean it's not Hebrew. And it's not modern Hebrew. This is not Yiddish either. This is Hebrew, Bantu, Igbo, Yoruba languages, brothers and sisters. Right? Keep going.
The word water in Bantu is spelled Mai, and the Hebrew is spelled Mayim. So in Bantu it's spelled Mayyi,
right?
But in Hebrew it's spelled Mayim.
Now, brothers and sisters, can we please see that this is the same language, brothers and sisters? This is not a different language, brothers and sisters, right? This is the Hebrew language. So all these Hebrew names you found in Chicago, Virginia, Maryland, South Carolina, Florida, all the places that we're at over here in America, this is proven that our culture before we came off them slave ships, brothers and sisters, was Hebrew, right? And to all my brothers and sisters that want to use the Apocrypha, and you go into Second Esdras and you read Ashtoreth, that is talking about West Africa,
right?
Because
the land. Go ahead.
The land where they were going to keep their statues that they didn't keep while they was in the land of Israel. That wasn't over here in America.
No, it was not.
Before West Africa, right? They did that in West Africa. They created governments where these same statues were implemented in those countries, brothers and sisters, as they are today, even though they're more diluted than they once were, right? Keep going, my brother.
The word thanks or praise in Bantu is spelled tondo. Matando in Hebrew is the word spelled tonda.
it's not. Come on, brothers and sisters. My Kemetic brothers and sisters. Where was the Egyptian language over here? It says the Bantu language was the Hebrew language, brothers and sisters, not Egypt, not Ethiopia, which my urban apologists, I'm not going to put my behind there, my bad. The urban apologists, they want to point out that we were Cushites, brothers and sisters. And me and my brother Mikael, when we did the Unapologetically Israel, when we was at the Hard Rock Cafe downtown, We handled that. We are not Ethiopians. We are not Cushites. Now that made our point even stronger, because guess who Israel was always mistaken for?
Ethiopians and Egyptians.
Oh man, you see what I'm saying? Keep going, my brother. We're gonna take care of this, brothers and sisters.
The Bantu word to play is spelled to seek.
Sika.
Oh, see, okay, it's spelled TESKA slash TSAKA. So that's Sika Saka. That I believe.
All my Hebrew scholars, y'all just back us up on this. You know, we ain't no scholars in Hebrew, but we can see that it's the language, right? Keep going.
But in Hebrew, the word to play is spelled saksak, which is TSAKAK.
Right. So another word, brothers and sisters, that's showing you that it's the Hebrew language. Now this is the one that's really gonna hit hard. Oh, my brother.
I'm trying to highlight people. Okay. The Bantu word for God.
God, let's hear this, brother.
Bantu God is Yah, which is YAH / with a hyphen.
Is that Yah?
YAH and then ABE.
Is that Yah? If you, brothers and sisters, if you go to 2 Chronicles 7:14, where it says that if my people that are called by my name, right, you can go on to www.slavevoyages.org.
They're closer to you, right? Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
You can go to www.slavevoyages.org and you will see you could put Yah. It is a African name, quote unquote, African name, Bantu name, and you can see that it is in all the names of the slaves that came over here, brothers and sisters. We were named by Yah, even though it's G, right? We're not going to get into, but we named by Yah, my brother.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that the Bantu and the Hebrew is the same language.
And we ain't not rocket scientists up here, brothers and sisters, right?
I'm a college dropout, so and it shows how when I'm reading. Right. Anyway, as for the Ghana, as far as Ghana is concerned, let's hear the testimony of an author of the Middle Ages known as Adrisi.
Right.
Found in Hebrewisms of the West Africa, page 234.
Now, these books, I didn't use these books on purpose. I didn't use these books purposely, brothers and sisters, because these apologetic folks, they gonna go in there and be like, y'all want to use this? He said that the Israelites look like the Arabs of North Africa or the Arabs, because when we just read, they were black Arabs. So we're still black folks, brothers and sisters. The Ishmaelites were black as well, brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Keep going.
He writes, speaking of Lam, which slaves were dragged into captivity by the inhabitants of Ghana.
Right? More of Israel selling Israel, brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Takora states that they were only 2 towns in this district, which he places in the south of the kingdom of Ghana, and adds, according to what the people of this country report, the inhabitants are Jews.
The people reported that the inhabitants are Jews. Jews, brothers and sisters, right?
Yes,
Let us keep going.
Skip down here.
Yep.
According to the research done by Joseph E. Holloway, his book, The African Heritage of American English, on page 107, he lists Bantu place names in 9 southern states.
I just wanted y'all, we read this in the Negro question, the first Negro question, but I wanted y'all to get the source of where he's getting it from, right? He gave you the book and the page number. If you can repeat the book,
go back again.
Yeah.
The name of the book is The African Heritage of American English. Page 107.
So that's the book, brothers and sisters. We showing all sources, so you don't want to go back trying to say these brothers just making up stuff. No, we're showing the sources, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
I'm sorry. Look at, I'm trying to put people comments up there. I'm doing a whole bunch at one time, so
take your time.
Okay.
We're gonna get through this, like I said, and this is just interesting to show our history through all of this, brothers and sisters.
in his book, The African Heritage of American English, on page 107, he lists Bantu place names in the 9 southern states. In Alabama, 28, Georgia, 18, Florida, 31, Mississippi, 14, North Carolina, 26, South Carolina, 104, and Virginia, 26. Louisiana and Texas, it appears that the language of white kidnappers forbade the Hebrew captives to speak was Bantu Hebrew.
Hebrew. We were forbidden to speak a native tongue, which was Bantu, brothers and sisters. Bantu, right? So now, what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna let my brother come in for this one because this is really gonna be his after we read this.
Sister, again, this book is called The Negro Question, Part 2. The African slave ships that came from Judah, written by Lee B. Cummings. That's the name of this book.
And so now we're going to another book called West African History by Robert O. Collins. Can you put that up?
Okay, let me see the cover of that one. Okay, hold on.
This is just West African history. And like I said, brothers and sisters, we're going to show
Which one? The red.
we're going to show that you have the slave coast in Evreland, right? Which is the kingdom of Judah. And you have it really off of between Nigeria and Dahomey, which is modern day Benin, right? But we're going to tie the Yoruba, the Oyo dynastic tradition, and tie it to Dahomey, because we know that the Yoruba Oyo dynastic tradition shows this being the kingdom of Judah. And then all of a sudden you have the kingdom of Judah within the same area, brothers and sisters. Like, this is not no coincidence, right? So I want you to read just this part that's highlighted.
All right, y'all. I hope y'all can see the book. It's called Western African History by Robert O. Collins.
Right.
You want me to start here?
Yeah.
With the Dahomey. Okay. Dahomey continued to perfect internal organization by using Oyo institutions and developing its own governmental institutions rather than squandering resources on fruitless military adventures. And the end of the 8th century was characterized by a series of weak rulers and the decline of Dahomey's power until the ascension of Adadozan, 1797 to 1818.
So before 17, what did it say?
1797.
So before 1797, brothers and sisters, we're going to show that the Dahomey Empire was part of the Oyo Empire, right? And we're going to get to that.
No, I'm trying to get rid of the comment. Let's just keep going.
So the Oyo Empire, the Dahomey Empire was a part of the Oyo Empire. And we just want to point that out.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Once again, brothers and sisters, we're going to do the best we can to keep, if you can't see them, we're going to do the best we can. But like I said, I'm going to come on the post and I'm going to put the pictures of all the books that we're using today on the post. Okay, keep going.
All right, the end of the 8th, and his 3 successors, Gizo, 1818 to 1853, Galili, 1858 to 1889, and Bahanzin, 1889 to 1894. Strong and effective monarchs who established the independence of Dahomey from Oyo and secured for Dahomey a dominant and prosperous position on the slave coast.
So y'all see that, right? They got independence from the Oyo Empire, Dahomey, which is in the slave coast, which is in the kingdom of Judah. Is Ade still on there?
Yeah, he's still on.
My brother, I want
to point something out.
Oh, go ahead.
Do that. These are kings, right?
Yeah, these are kings.
So to my urban apologists, they like to say, "What kings came out of Africa with you?"
Right. Oh,
yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
We had kings even after when we fled and went into Africa. We had kings.
Right.
And them kings was brought. Let's just keep going.
The Oyo Empire had Israelite kings, and from the people over there, it was Judah that was tribe of Judah that was running the Oreo Empire.
Right. Ade, you there, bro?
Yes, I am.
Okay, man.
So if you want to elaborate on that, brother, I already know you're gonna go in with that. Go ahead.
So exactly what do you want me? So
just mention
as
like the
far
Oreo
as the
Empire.
so I'm sorry. Say that again.
Just as far as the OEO, what you know as far as the OEO Empire and us being in, running things as far as that, what's your knowledge on the OEO Empire?
So what my knowledge on the Oyo Empire mostly is the Oyo Empire was, like I said, the military base of the Yoruba Kingdom. So that kingdom, that empire was the one that most of the all the people came from, as far as the Yoruba Kingdom came from. And
Right.
my town specifically, the founders of my town, which is Ilaro, came from the Oyo Empire directly. And
Right.
I'm just get a brief history on the Oyo. I mean, as far as the Ilaro people. So Ilaro people were had the name of the clan was called the Egbado people. The Egbado people came from the Egba people. So you can find the Egba people that's mostly in the region of like Ogun State, right?
Right.
Okay, so how my town was founded was that once that homie separated from the Oyo Empire, they started attacking the Oyo Empire. So they worked together with the Portuguese. So once they was able to attack, they was able to as far as the Oyo Empire, it was some traders within the Oyo Empire that actually the reason why they was able to get into the Oyo Empire. So
Right.
once the Oyo Empire broke up, people fled. Now my father's people, we fled into a mountain called Ibo Aj. I can't pronounce it really well. So once when we fled there, we were looking. That's the time when we were protecting ourselves from the slave raiders from the Dahomey as well as the people from the Portuguese. And that's basically how my town gets started. As far as brief history on my town. But any specific
Right.
thing that you want me to talk about is specifically?
No, I'm just wanted to brief as far as knowing that the OEO Empire was part of the Kingdom of Judah.
So that whole area down there was called was Yoruba land. The whole area down there between Nigeria and Dahomey, which is
and like go ahead.
which is the Kingdom of Judah. But go ahead.
And so, like my brother had said, this area in Yoruba land, right? You got Benin, which was part of the OEO Empire, was the Kingdom of Judah or the slave coast. Now, whether, like I said, we going back to these village people, right? Going back to these. So these three little village people that they done went over and said, I want y'all to match them with y'all out there. Which makes more sense? What we're showing or what we showed as far as the three village people that, of course, they're lost, brothers and sisters. They didn't even say what tribe they was from, brothers and sisters. We're showing all the tribes that are Hebrew, undoubtedly Hebrew. And if the Limba tribe is matching the Kohen in their Bantus, that means genetically the Bantus, the Yoruba, the Igbo, all of them are Israelites, brothers and sisters. That means we are Israelites, brothers and sisters. Genetically, oral tradition, biblical prophecy, history. We are the Israelites, brothers and sisters, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to get into color. Now we showed all of that I don't want none of them saying, well, color, it doesn't matter what color they are. You're absolutely right. But we can show without color that these are the children of Israel.
And I want to make it
right. Now we're going into.
I want to make a quick comment, real quick. If you're going to go down and study West Africa, do some real research. Stop going down there and asking some random villager, asking us a bunch of questions. These Europeans that study, West Africa, they was down there for 20 and 30 years. Don't post a video of you asking some random guy. First of all, you're not saying what tribe he's from. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting any real history from the guy. He's like, oh, have you ever heard of this? And he's gonna tell you no. He probably barely speak English to begin with.
And that's what I was just getting ready to say.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bring that
Just
up.
about-
Cause that's irritating when you do that. That's insulting for us that came from those regions. You know, you get
Right.
different stories. You have to sit there and do some real research. Either on my mom's side, my dad's side, because my mom's from Georgia, my dad's from Nigeria. I ask extensive questions. Then I go do research. I don't ask random questions and then bring it out to the public like, okay, that's it. That's what it was. Because I asked this one guy this one story, and that solidifies my point. That's stupid.
Right.
Come on. You gotta act like you gotta act like you at least pretend that you're educated when you do something like that. But that's also
Right.
bring that point out. Sorry. Go ahead.
And
you sound kind of heated there, man.
I am because irritated, man. It's like, don't do that.
Man.
So this one guy, this one villager speaks for the whole west coast of Africa. Really?
right, this one guy, and the doggone, you don't even know what he was telling the elder. He could have been translating something that was totally different. We don't know because you don't have any proof of this, right? But what we're showing is the proof. And like I said, if you have a problem with the books that we're using, show us that the information is wrong. Like, that's all we're saying, right? So we're going to continue, and now we're going to get into the color part. Right? Since you want to, let's just take it there. You know what I'm saying? Just to solidify everything, right? Now, even when we went into captivity, brothers and sisters, there were some of us that did become part of the aristocracies that were in the other nations, even though we were not the sole rulers of that particular nation. And this is what we're gonna see right now, right? So this is Nature Knows No Color Lines, by J.A. Rogers, page 63.
All right. Just okay.
Right.
The Jews also brought in much Negro strain some of the noblest and Sephardic families, aristocrats of Jewry.
So hold on. So I know a lot of people probably heard the word Sephardic Jew. When you hear Sephardic Jew versus Ashkenazi Jew, Sephardic Jew just means non-Ashkenazi. It's
Non-Ashkenazi.
Right, non-Ashkenazi. It's just a basic term. And it's dealing with us as far as the Sephardic Jews. So keep going.
Aristocrats of Jewry. Negro.
Wait, what did they were?
It said Negroes.
They were Negroes. This is a history book. This ain't got nothing to do with biblical nothing, right? They were Negroes. Let's keep going.
And we're dealing with color, right?
And we're dealing with keep going.
Isaac Dakota mentions sons and grandsons of Don Jasha ben Jashish,
right?
Okay, who were royal treasurers, court physicians, astrologers, and royal favorites at the court of castles and Portugal.
Right. So if you understand, like in the book of Daniel, when Nebuchadnezzar wanted him to decipher his dream, and then Belteshazzar wanted him to decipher what he needed him to decipher, he was going to make him third ruler? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Third ruler. So we will be in captivity and still get in places of authority, just like that Ethiopian under the Candace, right? Keep going.
One of whom was Don David Negro, who was another illustrious Israel of Don Fernando, whose favorites they had been in Castile.
Castile.
Yeah, Castile. His name Negro is derived, according to the author of the Shalasheth, from Dos Negros. One of the three seigneurs which were given to his progenitor. Kid, I'm having problems. By the king of Portugal.
So they were given to the progenitor by the king of Portugal, and these were the males that were given. So we know we're dealing with Israelites who were part of Jewry, who had who were Negroes, brothers and sisters. Right. Now let's go to page 122.
Oh, you got pictures in here.
Oh. Brothers and sisters, get these books. I'm telling you, you can, you will not have no hard time proving your history grabbing these books. So we're going to start right there.
All right. Austria. This is Nature Knows No Color Line,
Right.
and we're dealing with Austria, Germany, Holland, and Belgium. The Negroid strain of the peoples of Northern Europe was already discussed in Volume 1 of Sex and Race. To this, the following facts may be added. Most of the Negro strain in Northern Europe and Russia was taken by the Jews who, in spite of the religious prejudice against them, intermarried with Christians, as Maurice Fishberg in his comprehensive study. The Jew was known, and, says Hertz, innumerable aristocrats have married Jewesses.
So now you got innumerable aristocrats have married Jewishness. You had the Jews as aristocrats as well. You had the males being given, right? So now we know we got in Europe, you have a combination of Gentiles who had Israelite women, and you had Israelite men that had Gentile women. So that's how we're looking at it. Right?
Yeah, no, Will. I can see Will. He's now you see how I feel reading on the Balm of Gilead.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna continue. Keep going, my brother.
All right. As was already said, the ancient Jews who left Egypt must have been a quite Negroid.
So you see what I'm saying? They're acknowledging the Jews that came from Egypt, right? Out of the land of Egypt the first time, and in various parts of Egypt, they were Negroid looking, right? Keep going.
After mating with Egyptians and Ethiopians for centuries.
So that's why we would look like Egyptians and be mistaken for Egyptians and Ethiopians, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
They were probably even originally Negroid. Abraham, according to the Bible, came from Ur of the Chaldees. Chaldea was the seat of the Sumerian civilization.
And then the Sumerians were called the black-headed ones, brothers and sisters. I just want to point it out. Keep going.
Which was long considered to be a white Aryan.
Right. So they always try. So you got brothers and sisters that try to say, like my Kemetic brothers and sisters will try to say the Sumerians was white Aryan. That's what Abraham was, white Aryan. He was not. He was a Negroid color Sumerian, looking like the black-headed ones, which were black people, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
But it was Negroid, says Spearing, in the childhood of art. The discovery, he says, was very disconcerting to literally historians and psychologists, for that race was proved to be not a branch of the civilizing Aryans, nor of the gifted Semites. What? Nor of the gifted Semites.
Oh, wow.
But of the Negroid people having affinities with Mongols.
Right.
Which are Gentiles.
Yeah, right? They
right.
mixed and mingled with Gentiles. Nine there, right?
Right.
Going.
D.L.F. Foy also in his research says that the Emilites, the Elamites, who once dominated the region where Negroes, one of their kings is mentioned in connection with Abraham in Genesis 14.
So it said the Elamites, y'all know that's in one of the places where we be recovered from in Isaiah 11:11, Elam, which is a black place. It says the Elamites were Negroes, right? So that is a black place, brothers and sisters. So all the places named that we're going to get recovered from were black places. I just wanted to point that out, right? You can keep going when you're ready, my brother.
Read this real quick. If you're gonna bring up,
yeah. I'm gonna definitely bring that up.
Okay,
but I'm gonna bring that up, bro. Keep going.
Okay, so let me see, where was that? Strabo, 30 BC, says the people of Western Judea were a part of Egyptian ancestry. But he says, although the inhabitants are mixed up, thus the most prevalent of the accredited reports in regard to the temple at Jerusalem represents the ancestors of the present Judeans, as they are called Egyptians.
Right. You said that's it there. So Strabo, brothers and sisters, Strabo was a contemporary historian around the time of the Ptolemies, well, in the late Ptolemies, when Rome was taken over by Greece. So he was a Greek historian at the end. So he was able to show that they thought they were Egyptians, brothers and sisters. They thought they were Egyptians, right? Let's keep going.
Tacitus of about 90 AD says, many assert that the Jews of the Ethiopian race, for Romans to have taken them for Ethiopians, I'm getting confused on lines here. For Ethiopians is clear indication of their color, since the Ethiopians were definitely black to the Romans.
So, brothers and sisters, this is also Tacitus, who was a historian around 90. It said 90 AD. This is 20 years after we got kicked out of the land of Israel, and they still thought they was Ethiopians, not white, not Europeans. Oh gosh, you know what I'm saying? Keep going.
Ancient Jewish legends themselves recognize a Negro strain from the Jews. Genesis Rabbah 18 reads, when the Jews returned from Babylon, their wives had become brown almost during the years of captivity, and a large number of men divorced their wives. The divorced women probably married black men, which would to some extent account for the existence of black Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon loved a black. Wait a minute. Solomon loved a black Shulamite, and his Song of Songs was written to her.
Yeah, and you know, of course, brothers and sisters, what they're talking about is when they this is Jesus talking, which says black family.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Oh, ye daughters of Jerusalem. Some people think that's a Shulamite woman, one of Solomon's many wives, but that's Jesus talking to Israel, right? So we want to point that out. We want to get that out of the way, right? Keep going.
She was black but comely and burnt by the sun.
Right.
Waits says an interesting graduation of all the shades down to the black is exhibited by the Jews, especially dark, where the Jews of Spain and Portugal. The Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Picard. The Duchess of Diomprates, wife of Napoleon, ambassador to Portugal, said that the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. So dark were the Jews, especially the Portugal and the southern Spain, that many whites thought the Jews were black or dark. This belief, said Barbat, shows what an error most people are in, since he says the German Jews, for example, those of Prague, are as white as most of the German countrymen.
Oh my goodness, German! Now the German Jews are white. Gentiles, they are white, but all these other Jews, they are Negroes, brothers and sisters. The Portuguese Jews did not convert. These other black people did not convert us to Judaism, brothers and sisters.
Right.
The Portuguese Jews, they got that way because the Jews went down and mixed with the Gentiles, brothers and sisters. The Judean men mixed with the Portuguese, brothers and sisters. We were in Europe for a long time, right? Keep going.
Many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II. That, am I going in simply? 130.
Yeah. That's
just making sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Settled in the West Indies, John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw the descendants of the Jews and says they were Negroids.
So there are Jews in Jamaica? So we just read all this stuff. We got the Ashanti that are in Jamaica who match the Bantu people who are related to the Lemba, who show the Kohen gene going back to the Israelites. And then you have these Jews in Jamaica. Oh my God. Keep going, my brother.
The Eastern Jews who settled in Austria, Poland, and Russia were Negroid too. Count Adam Gorowski of Poland, who visited the United States in 1857, said the Jews of his country strongly resembled American mulattoes.
Oh, so can you? That's now that people.
Okay, screen.
So he said these Jews resembled American mulattoes. So we're going to be fair and saying not all the Jews were super dark, brothers and sisters, but
Which
they were
ones?
Negroes. These right here,
These three. What about this one?
and that one, and then that one over there. So we're gonna just show the. So we're gonna show.
We'll start here.
Yeah, the American mulattoes, brothers and sisters. This is what they are talking about. This ain't us, brothers. Like this is like look at our hair, brothers and sisters. That is not. That is a Negro, but it's a mulatto. You know what I'm saying? A light-skinned sister. A light-skinned sister.
Right.
Right? Keep going to the next picture.
Let me find it. It should be coming up. There you go.
It's the same thing. You know, we got sisters that look like this, brothers and sisters, right? But that's what they would resemble. But you had ones that were very dark. This particular person, who is this? Adam.
Which one?
Adam Gorowski. Adam Gorowski of Poland, he said that these Jews resembled those particular Jews, American mulattoes. Keep going to the different ones. American mulatto, brothers and sisters. See that woman? These are still black people. You got the other black woman right there by our side, but then you got the lighter skinned Negro woman, brothers and sisters. Keep going. The same thing, brothers and sisters. These are all considered mulattoes, but they are Negro, brothers and sisters. Negro.
Right.
So
that's the last one.
That's the last one.
All right, let me get out of this. We did this one?
Oh, pull that up.
Yeah, we didn't do this one.
And last but not least, you got this one. So that's still a brown skinned woman. Y'all was probably one of y'all aunties or something, man. You know what I'm saying? Get out of here, man.
Definitely my mother's side of the family. I know that.
This is what my mother's that's my complexion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's my complexion. So let's get off of that and let's be fair. We know they're not all super dark, but we are a melanated people, brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Keep going.
The Eastern Jews are said. Okay, wait a minute. Where did I leave off at?
Numbers of Jews.
Okay, yeah, I'll just start from here. He said that this country strongly resembled American mulattoes. Numbers of Jews, he said, have the greatest American mulattoes. Sallow complexion, crisp black hair. All of the Jewish population scattered all over the glove. 1/4 dwells in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
I am therefore well acquainted with their features. On my arrival in the country, America, I took every light-colored mulatto for a Jew.
He took every mulatto for a Jew, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
Considerable Negro strain was found too among the Polish Jews in London.
Mm-hmm.
For years, 2 New York white dailies, the News and the Mirror, have been advertising kinky hair, straightened permanent in one treatment. The service is for whites only. The customer are probably Jews. A Negro hairdresser in Harlem once had many of them in her customers.
Mm-hmm.
Karl Marx,
the father of Marxism, brothers and sisters, if you know what this is, right? Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Karl Marx, who bore a strong resemblance to Frederick Douglass. No, man, don't tell me this. Karl Marx, who bore a strong resemblance to Frederick Douglass, undoubtedly came of this Negroid stock.
All right.
Wow.
Right. You never know, brothers and sisters. That's why you say you never know. That's why we can't dictate specifically all the black people being of the nation of Israel. And that's why we're not saying that, right?
Right.
That's why when we get into Black Lives Matter, we're really talking about Israelite lives matter.
Right? Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So now we got these other people who are Negroid, but guess what they're saying about the Israelite? Keep going, my brother.
His nose was broad, his hair frizzy, and the color of his so dark. His color so dark he was called the Moor. Negroid strain was even more evident. Ferdinand Lassalle, aristocrat founder of socialism. Marx, his rival, called him a Jewish
the
Jewish
aristocrat founder of what? Socialism? The aristocrat founder of socialism,
Wow.
Karl Marx, called him a Jewish nigger.
Wow.
Oh man, it gets the rabbit hole goes deeper, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
A greasy Jew from Breslau who was always concealing his woolly hair with all kinds of hair oil and makeup. In a letter to the Engels, March 7th, 1856, he has said of LaSalle, "It is perfectly obvious from the shape of his head and the way his hair grows that he is descended from Negroes."
See what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? This Israelite, this Jewish nigga, is descended from Negroes, right? And I'm just repeating what the book says, brothers.
yeah.
But this is what I'm saying, brothers and sisters. Yes, and it proves that we had all different shades of brown. It's not just because of rape, like the urban myth, right? Because a lot of us, let's get into that just a tad bit. It was a lot of us that were in Yoruba land and Igbo land who were light-skinned. Brothers and sisters, this don't mean it's because you got raped, right? Like my brother had said, right? I wanted to make the side note, like my other brother said, there is a staff, the staff of Aleafe from the Oba Aleafe in Nigeria amongst Yoruba. It has the name Oramian on it.
Done with this.
Yeah. It has the name Oramian on it, which is equivalent to Israel, and it's two words. This is all over West Africa, all over. Now, we're going to, lastly, we're going to get into the Native American side. We're going to clear some of this stuff up, right? Because we're going to show the Israelites that are among the Native Americans who came over here.
Oh, okay.
Bantus who mixed with Native Americans, not the Native Americans themselves, brothers and sisters. It's the Bantus that mixed with the Native Americans. That's what we're gonna. So let's read right here. This is black.
Hold on, I got to. I got to pull this up. I got to pull this one up.
So this chart that our brothers and sisters keep hanging on to. This chart, and I didn't see some brothers and sisters actually use this book. Oh my gosh. Use this book to say the Native Americans are Israelites. Did y'all read this? Y'all did not read this book, man. And this is why the urban apologists, Comedics, that's why they're embarrassing us. But more specifically, the urban apologists, because they have a straight agenda. Some of these older Comedics, they respect, even though they say the nation of Israel learned from Egypt, they respect the history of Israel, and that is black people. But these urban apologists, we got to take away everything that they're trying to use that is wrong information and clean it up, which is what we're about to do right now, right? So we're going to the Black Indians. He's going to pull up the picture, brothers and sisters. Yeah. The Black Indians by William Loren Katz. And we're going to start at page 28.
I love this book because my biological mother gave me this book when I was a shorty, because she was telling me, again, you look like her grandfather. And she kept saying, we're Seminole now. We go with the father's family.
Right.
But after reading this book, man, I recommend everybody get this book.
Found all my Gullah and Geechee people, because as the brother that came on the post, they are somewhat different, but they are the same people, right? So this is going to answer what happened with our people when it came to the Native Americans, right? Keep going.
And then and one more thing. Those that have watched my 400 years disproving that, we've been here since 1619. This is one of the books that, that shows we've been here for 100 years before 1619.
A little more than 100 years.
It's just that when it comes to the American scholastic system, that was started by the English. The English are going to say 1619.
Right.
They're not trying to promote the Spanish. But let's read this.
Right. Keep on.
The first Africans brought to the New World by European slavers probably arrived in April 1502.
1502, or sometimes they have 1501, but 1502, brothers and sisters, not 1619. So that 400 years, that's been over with, if you wanted to use that, right? And we've been in captivity way longer than that, right? Keep going.
Aboard the ship that brought the new governor of Hispaniola, Nicholas de Ovando. Soon after they landed, some Africans escaped to the woods and found a new home amongst the Native Americans.
So these Ewe people, these African Ewe Bantu people, went amongst the Native Americans and intermarried with them. And the men, which we're going to show, the men intermarried with the women, brothers and sisters. They are still Hebrew men. They are not Native Americans, though, brothers and sisters.
Right.
They're not Native Americans. But we're going to see why they would classify them as Native Americans. Keep going, brother.
His reason was simple. They fled amongst the Indians and taught them bad customs and never could be captured.
Right. Keep going. We're going.
Hold on. I want to blow this up. No, because I want people to look at these faces, man.
Come on, y'all. They don't even have the same phenotype.
And I want to point this out, too, before I keep reading. Every picture that you show of a black Indian was taken after, when was the camera invented? 1816?
Something like that.
No.
It was in the 1800s.
It was in the 1800s. So what you're looking at right here on the screen is people that have been mixing since 1502.
Brothers and sisters, this is the scenario of the whole thing. They mingled together. They made they had leagues with each other, brothers and sisters.
Right.
That's what they had, right? Keep going.
Now I'm starting to teach, man. Let me get in the read. In the century following Columbus landing, millions of Native Americans died from the combination of European diseases, harsh treatment, and murder. Africans took their place in the mines and the fields in the New World, and 80 million of Native Americans alive in 1492 became only 10 million left after a century later. But the 10,000 Africans working in the Americas in 1527 had, by the end of the century, become 90,000 people.
Brothers and sisters, this is the scenario. This is the scenario that happened.
Breeding us like crazy.
And I want to also address one more thing. Like, if you go back to Nature Knows No Color Lines, which you'll find in the book, Columbus went to Guinea before he came over to Cuba to get Indian slaves, brothers and sisters. So these brothers and sisters, my one West brothers and sisters, I'm sorry to have to inform you, that was a Israelite from West Africa. That was not a Tiano Indian from Cuba that led him over there, if you want to say that. He was from Guinea. He went from Guinea, Senegal, and the Congo, and he grabbed slaves from there before he came over here to Cuba, brothers and sisters. So I wanted to point that out.
This is first voyage or his second or third?
No, this is his first voyage. Before he discovered America, he went into Guinea to grab Negro slaves, and then he came over here and grabbed Indian slaves.
So then that means we've been here since 1492.
We've been here longer,
so
right?
Add another 10 years.
So add another 10 years, right? So we've been here for a long time, brothers and sisters. Keep going, my brother.
All right. Out of the shifting labor forces of the new population emerged of mixed Africans and Native Americans. By 1650, Mexico alone had African Indian population, some with white ancestry.
Ooh, some with white ancestry? Ooh.
And 100,000. And new race was being born.
So a new race was being born with the Ewe people and the Native American, who were Gentiles, brothers and sisters. They were not Hebrews. We've been mixing with the Gentiles for a while. That's why you get these. That's another reason why you get mulattoes, because of the mixture between the Africans, the everyday Bantu people, and the Native Americans, and then you get these mulattoes, which of course you heard from the witnesses. They said that if they see a mulatto, they will consider them a Jew off back. That's crazy. Now we're going into page 36.
36. Sorry. And one more thing I want to point out too. Yeah, we got time. And this right here, the book tells us the reason they started coming to get us, because the Native Americans here could not survive the diseases that they had, right? So the Europeans had some diseases. The Native Americans couldn't survive it. So they went and got Africans, which was us, Hebrews, that could survive it. I want you to take a mental note.
And here's another to add on to that. You know why they could survive it? Because these Africans that came over here, a lot of them had sickle cell anemia, which we know Esau and Israel are the only ones. They could get sickle cell anemia, and sickle cell anemia usually will block malaria and all these other viruses and diseases from getting into you. If you look up sickle cell anemia rates, you will find most of it in Nigeria amongst the Yorubas, and malaria is low amongst the Yorubas, brothers and sisters. So that's just adding on to what he's saying. They are not Israelites, brothers and sisters.
They're not.
They're not. So we're going to 36, page 36 and 37. And so we're going to find out something really important here, right? Keep going.
It was in Mexico that Europeans made their strongest effort to keep Africans apart from the Native Americans.
Right.
Black men are far outnumbered their women, and so thought Indian wives.
So
they sought Indian wives.
Right. So when the slave capturers came, they mostly came and got the men. They knew who they were dealing with, brothers and sisters, right? So the black men far outnumbered the black women, so they sought Indian wives, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
There wasn't no women left.
It wasn't no women. It wasn't no women, right? That's why we got in these conditions. Keep going.
A Native American wife meant if she was free, the children born to her would be free, not slaves.
This is why we claim Native American, so that we can hide more and we would be free. So these people that you saying is Native American are Israelite. They're actually not Native American by their Y DNA haplotype, brothers and sisters. That's what we're pointing out, right? Keep going.
So extensive was the contact between red and black people that Spanish law prohibited the two races from living together or marrying.
Because we were unified. That's why this is going on. So go to page 52 now.
Your enemy is my enemy.
Right. We were unified.
52?
Right? 52, page 52.
Oh, you're getting into my people. All right.
Okay, go ahead. So now we're dealing with the Seminoles, right? Keep going.
Black Seminoles played a vital part in the coalition against the slave power to the north. Their knowledge of farming in Florida was second to none. They also brought information slaves had out there. Masters thinking.
So y'all, they separate the Black Seminoles. Come on now. Keep going.
One observer described them as stout and even gigantic. Sure they wasn't giants? We ain't no giants. Giants, brother
We were
Mikael.
giant killers. They were explaining that they were like giants, right? Keep going.
The finest looking people I have ever seen. They were almost immune to the malaria and smallpox that devastated Indians and Europeans.
Yeah, just like he said, I already knew this was coming up. So just like he said, the Indians and the Europeans, who are both Gentiles, this would make sense, got the malaria and it struck them, but it did not hit the everyday African people, right? It did not touch them, right? Keep going, my brother.
Come down in here?
Yeah.
Okay. By the 19th century, Black Seminoles have become key advisors and valuable entrepreneurs for the nation. They were familiar with English, Spanish, and the Musquee or Hittite Seminoles language. Not all African runaways from slavery lived among the Seminoles.
Right. So you got half of them that really went amongst the Seminoles, and the other half scattered among the other 5 civilized tribes and the other tribes like the Blackfoot and all that. But then, what does it also say in here, brother?
For some had formed their own maroon settlements against slaveholders. However, all united.
All of them united. So when you got the Gullah Wars, if y'all ever heard of the Gullah Wars, this was what really brought the Civil War. They say the Civil War is what made Lincoln sign the Emancipation Proclamation. That's not it. It was the Gullah Wars. This is why I tell people all the time, you want to go out there and go to war with the Gentiles and all this. We've already done it in America, brothers and sisters, for 119 years of guerrilla warfare. And we were winning at first, but at the end, we lost badly. You know what I'm saying? We lost. Why? Because we didn't have our God with us, brothers.
I'm so glad you said that.
We didn't have our God with us, brothers and sisters. That's what it was.
Right.
Now we're going to the last page on here, which is 137. And we're going to show exactly what happened with an interview with a woman that had a Negro father and she had a Native American mother, right?
You want me to go where now? I'm sorry.
137.
All right.
Maybe that's why these DNA companies won't test Native Americans. I noticed I had 1%, but someone, a white person, don't test them.
I didn't know that.
Man, y'all see all this? Now all these comments that's coming up, they're going to be added with this because once again, we're getting into genetics and things like that. If y'all see the history, you can pick up where your people, if you know a little history about your people, we can pick that up.
7?
No, 120,
130.
131, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. Finish.
So that's what we're getting into, right? If y'all, like, if you look at the AfricanAncestry.com, if y'all notice, you don't really see any results of Native American, even though we know we have them. You don't see a lot of results of Native Americans, right? Because we were still populated. Eventually, when we populated, you got to look at it like that. When we populated with the Native Americans, eventually there were Israelite women and Israelite men coming together to mate with each other. That's when it's going to even out and balance out. So as time goes on, brothers and sisters, we're going to have less Native American blood because there's going to be more African American blood amongst us, brothers and sisters, from full Bantu blood, brothers and sisters.
Which is killing that 12 tribe chart.
Which is killing the 12 tribe chart, right? Now, let's go see. This is another way where we're killing the 12 tribe chart. Because remember, the male carries the seed, brothers and sisters. The male, right? Keep going, bro.
All right. Again, this is page 131 from the book Black Indians.
Mm-hmm.
In 1864, while attending an anti-slavery meeting, Adonia Lewis was interviewed by a noted children's writer, Lydia Maria Child.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Child quoted Lewis on her Indian background. No, this is her quote now.
Right.
No, I have not a single drop of what is called white blood in my veins.
So that goes back to my brother Mikael's point, is that not everybody got raped, and that is a myth, right? She said she didn't have not one jot of white blood in her veins, right? Keep going.
No, I have not a single drop of so-called white blood in my veins. My father was fully blooded Negro.
My father was full-blooded Negro, but keep going.
And my mother was full-blooded Chippewa.
So her mother was the Native American, brothers and sisters. This is what usually happens. If you ask people, because I know this happens to me, if you ask people that have Native American in their blood, 9 times out of 10 is going to come from their mother's side, brothers and sisters.
Sounds like the Ashkenazi.
Right. It sounds like the Ashkenazi, right? Coming
Right.
from their mother's side, right? Keep
Right.
going.
And have you lived with Chippewas? Yes. When my mother was dying, she wanted me to promise. She wanted me to promise that I would live 3 years with her people, and I did.
Oh, did you hear what she says? I would live 3 years with her people. Why didn't it say our people if the Native Americans are Israelites, brothers and sisters?
Oh man, I'm sorry. We got to do it again. Hold on, man. That's what I'm saying. Let's get Bootsy up here now. That's man. Why won't I live with you? I'm gonna live with her people.
I'm gonna live with her people. And once again, they did this because when you got a Native American wife, you were not gonna suffer as a slave. So they claim it's just like when we passed for white, when we was extra light skinned, and we passed for white because we didn't want to be under the conditions of what black people going through, brothers and sisters. That's what it was about, right? Keep going.
And what did you do while you were there? I did as my mother's people did. I made baskets and embroidered moccasins, and I went into the cities with my mother's people to sell them.
See what I'm saying? They know the difference, brothers and sisters. This was an interview, right? So this is the last thing we're gonna go through.
Okay.
So that was it as far as the books. Now we're gonna go to our beloved brother Rabbi Kwete, who's gonna summarize all of what we just said, brothers and sisters. And like I said, this is who we are, brothers and sisters. The secular term that we are going by is the Ewe people who speak the Bantu language, brothers and sisters. The Hebrew people who speak the Hebrew language, brothers.
All right, here it is.
All right, go ahead.
You are correct that the Ewes have the same oral history as the Gadangbes. The reason is because the Ewes are also direct descendants of the Hebrew Israelites that migrated to West Africa by way of Egypt to the Gold Coast and Slave Coast, migrating from Israel through Egypt, Ethiopia, Southern Sudan, Niger, Nigeria, Dahomey to Togo. The reason we have the same oral history is because we are actually one people. We're Hebrews. Let me explain. When you go back in time to a strip of land in West Africa that was once called the Slave Coast, you will notice this geographical area stretched from the Volta River in Ghana through Togo, Benin, Dahomey, and Nigeria. These four countries that now occupy this stretch of land was one territory before the Europeans met in 1844 in Berlin to define their trade zones, and as a result, divided the African continent amongst themselves. This strip of land from the Volta River in Ghana through Togo, Dahomey, Benin, and Nigeria was known as Ewe Nyigba, that is Ewe land. And the people that occupied this stretch of land were called Ewes. Ewe is the original name of the people who lived on this stretch of land from Ghana to Nigeria. The name, however, morphed to Ewe because the V sound does not have an English equivalent. So the letter W was substituted for the V sound, and the name and pronunciation morphed to Ewe. Ewe is actually a female sheep. Where do we see the first time this name is used in the Torah? Genesis 14. And the fugitive came and told Abram, the Hebrew. The word rendered as Hebrew here is spelled Yud Resh Beit Ayin. In English, you will spell this I-V-R-I, and it's pronounced Ewe. So the text will read, Genesis 14, and the fugitive came and he told Abram the Ewe. Abraham the Ewe. Should you read from the Dead Sea Scrolls, you won't see the word Hebrew, but rather Ewe, what we now pronounce Ewe. This is the true name of the children of Israel, the Israelites. So where did the word Hebrew come from? We know it's Ewe. Where did the word Hebrew come from? The word Hebrew is an English rendering of the Latin Hebraicus. Hebrew is a derivative of the Latin word Hebraicus. A little over 2,000 years ago, Judea became a province of the Roman Empire, who had Latin as their national language. All the literature that people wrote and read was written in Latin, and those that were not were translated into Latin. During the translation of the Torah, Eve became Hebraicus in Latin. If you notice, it's nowhere near Eve. Hebraicus and Eve, it's so far apart. After the Reformation in Europe, led by Martin Luther, translations of the Bible began into English. The translations were from the Latin version of the Bible, not from the original language. So instead of using the original name Eve, they translated the Latin rendering Hebraicus to English as Hebrew. Hebrew, therefore, is a double translation of Eve. The word Hebrew is a double translation of the original word Eve. From the Volta River in Ghana through Togo, Benin, Dahomey, and Nigeria, what you have without the artificial boundaries by the Europeans is Eve Nyugba, Eve land, or Hebrew land. We used to be one people speaking the same Eve tongue. One will ask, how did we then lose the Hebrew tongue and now have so many dialects? Well, it's interesting, but wars have been fought, both interesting and sad. The wars have been fought, and many have died because of the problem of variation of dialect. And because of the lack of written history, we did not know we were fighting our own brothers and sisters. Who said we don't speak Eve? Who said we don't still speak Hebrew? Who said the original Eve tongue is lost? We'll answer these questions in part 2.
Okay, brothers and sisters, like I said, y'all can, if you want to, you subscribe to our brother Rabbi Quater. He got real good information as far as our history and oral tradition and language and things like that. So once again, brothers and sisters, this is the conclusion. We have seen us coming from Egypt, coming from Assyria, coming from Babylon, going into Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, crossing the opposite side of the Nile River, going into Evre land, which is sub-Saharan Africa, and then they took us over here. Brothers and sisters, the evidence of us being Hebrews is still all over, everywhere, and they know who we are.
Yes, sir.
And Karl Marx knew who we were. That's
a shock.
That's the shock. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we got to understand the brothers and not the brothers and sisters, the people, the nations, the heathen. They know who we are, brothers and sisters. And matter of fact, I want to end this with one last scripture, if you don't mind.
Okay.
One last.
It's just that we don't know, but the Lord said he was going to take that knowledge from us, but then he said he's going to give it back.
Right. He's going to give it back. So you can expect the Hebrew language to kind of make its way back, brothers and sisters. And no, you don't have to learn Hebrew to get salvation. That's not what we're saying. But it's good to, when you're trying to prove who you are, you had the Hebrew language before you got on them slave ships. So let us go to Isaiah, the 60th chapter.
Isaiah 60.
Yeah, Isaiah 60. Okay. Isaiah 60. No, I'm sorry, 61. 61. Isaiah 61. And we are going to start at verse 8. So we're seeing all of this, and this is why this prophecy is going to happen, brothers and sisters. Verse 8.
For the Lord, for I love judgment. I hate robbery in the truth, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them, and their seed shall be known among the Gentiles.
Their seed shall be known among the Gentiles. So it don't matter who Israelite is. Obviously, it does when it says their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, right? Oh, keep going.
And their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which the Lord hath blessed.
Hey, brothers and sisters, don't ever let anybody take away your identity. Your culture. Don't ever acknowledge it. Go out there and show your light unto the people, which Christ told us to do. And that is my time, brothers and sisters. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Once again, the Walls of Jericho, we appear every Monday at 7:00 p.m., brothers and sisters. And Central Time. And of course, I want to give all honor to the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Holy One of Israel, who is Jesus. And I thank you for your time.
Brother Ade, you want to say something before we get off?
There's no need to say anything, man. The brother's got it.
Praise the Lord.
Hey, man, I couldn't. I mean, what's there to say? All praise to God, man.
All praises to the Most High, brother.
All right. Well, I do thank you guys for tuning in. You can catch Brother Cassius on his channel. Hopefully, you get you a YouTube channel, and but on Facebook you can catch him at Cassius Israel, and brother Mikael, his Hebrews Hood with a Z on Facebook, and then Hebrews in the Hood on YouTube.
Right.
And as a closing, I do want to say that finding out our history is also what leads us to Christ. And everyone else knows that. That's why they want to keep you to be a Gentile or something else. Remember, back in the 70s, they had all of our my parents, y'all grandparents,
right,
believing that they was Muslim.
Right.
Had them believing in, the Kemet thing was coming out all through the 80s. All of that stuff was going on.
Right.
Even in music. Y'all remember X-Clan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kemeticism. That's what they was about. But we had one brother. We had Karis one.
Right.
Why is that?
Right.
And that was it. But this is how, when you discover who you are and what your ancestors did wrong against God, you try to do right so you can get with God, with Christ.
And to the urban apologists, the one last thing, the only reason why we're taking the time to prove that we're Israel is because all the Sunday doctrine people, you have been convinced that the law is done away with. And if we're showing you our condition, it's attached to us forsaking the God of Israel and his law, statutes, commandments. That is why it is important to know who we are. That is the biggest reason. If it wasn't for salvation, if it wasn't for that, it would be irrelevant. We wouldn't be going through all this. So that's what we want to point out. Hopefully some of y'all can have an open ear, like God even said. The blind have eyes to see, and the people that have ears to hear it, right? And if you don't have enough witnesses to show that what you're saying is true, hear this and consider it the truth, like the Most High said, brothers and sisters.
All right. So I thank you guys for watching. Please like, share the video. Start a watch party again. Send this to your family, parts 1 and 2. And you also see these brothers do this on their channel as well, too. All praise to the Most High. Mighty name of Jesus, who's blessed forevermore. Peace, y'all. And happy Sabbath.
Up your way, up your way.
Time to wake up. Time to wake up.
Wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake.
Time to wake up. time to wake up.